What is up? What is up, people? Doing a late night stream. Me and your boy Terrence in the house. What up, Terrence?
What's up, Bonzo? Yeah, I like that intro, man. It has like a Luke Cage, like Black Lightning s vibe to it, man. That's really cool.
Thank you, thank you. Courtesies of the one and only LDG. Actually, no, that one I made myself. Well, I cut a piece of what he did into for it, but I did most of it myself.
Yep.
So what's up with
Yeah.
you, man?
Not much. I was at the park when I was talking to you, and I was doing some meditation and kind of writing different things down. And then when you had mentioned that you wanted to stream with me, I was like, oh yeah, we could definitely make that happen. And um, here I am.
Yeah, I figure we do a little late night stream. Haven't talked in a bit. Go for like maybe an hour and a half or so. But I figure
Hmm.
since we were having a little conversation, I guess we might as well just have that little conversation now, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Black Superman, bro.
yeah, yeah. Man, it's just one of those things because you know me, like I'm very much into Marvel and DC, and they're always gonna have me no matter what, regardless of how much I agree or disagree with something in the sense of the creative direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to say the same thing at the end of it, no matter the opinion, which is, if you're gonna do something, just make it good, so that way, myself, you, and anyone else that may have interest in viewing it, we can all have a good time. That's what I want.
Well, I mean, don't aren't you worried that it won't be good?
Um, it's like honestly, I'm not even so much worried as much as it is that it can only go a number of ways, right? It's either gonna be one of those like this is so good that I'm surprised because normally um, they don't really do something that's good when they have this sort of ideal, right? They'll just kind of run it into the ground, and any positive notions that we had, it just kind of goes away. Or it could just be one of those. Eh, I'm not surprised, but it's one of those like you had an opportunity to do something with it. You had your chance, and now it's like, okay, what are you gonna do now? Because I don't know if you're gonna be able to do this twice if the first time doesn't go so well.
Well, John Cena said, "Why would they announce it on Henry Cavill's birthday?" That's probably because they're assholes. Warner Brothers is a bunch of assholes, man. Like they don't give a
Yeah,
shit about Henry Cavill's birthday. You know what I
no,
mean?
they don't, man. And that's another thing too, right? Because I just the amount of disrespect, because Henry Cavill, I don't know what he was doing on his birthday. I hope that he was having a good time with his friends and family, but just imagine how he must have found that out. Whether it be on his own or someone told him, but that's like that. That's that low blow where I picture him just whatever he was doing, he stopped. There was probably some anger, and then he just was like, you know what, I'm done, man. This is not this was so planned on their part to do it on his birthday. They could have did it at any time because I believe that they were thinking about it for quite some time. And someone over there went, it's a good idea, Anzo. We're gonna mention this on his birthday. So
Yeah, I know. I know. And what's up, Mass Mumber? How you doing? Um, I know it's fucked up, but like I said, I watched Danny's video. Right? Did you watch it?
no, I didn't see it.
Yeah, Danny's video had me fucking rolling because he just kept saying it's not fake, it's not real, it's fake. It's like
Right, right.
it's fake. And I was like, yes, you are absolutely right. Danny nailed that fucking video. It's fake. I mean, who cares if he's black or not? I don't give a shit, bro. I just want to
Man,
see a good movie.
it,
That's it.
it's like because for me, man, I just like them to. do these characters justice. And I'm always like, how the fuck are you going to go to this version of Superman and you didn't even establish your real one first? Like, because you got your DCEU, and we started with Man of Steel. We should have had like two or three of those by now, and
Mm.
instead we just have the one, and we kept hearing for the longest time, okay, they're doing something with Superman, they're doing something with Superman, and it's just all these delays, and I'm like, you have like I think it's like maybe 34 years of where we had like this period where we had like one or two Superman movies over 3 decades. And I'm like, that's just nonsense to me, considering the importance of the character. Because if you establish him and you build him up, then you can get to the rest of these characters that they're trying to do now without any real sense of direction. I'm like, if you would have planned it, then they would have been welcomed and it would have ushered in a natural sense of appreciation. Now, for someone like myself, outside of just being a fan, and you're going to have me no matter what. Now you're in a position to where they're going to have to win me over with the movie itself because of the positioning of it.
Well, I think they're gonna have to win everybody over because there's a lot of people that ain't really looking forward to it, right? But it's like we were
Right.
joking around. What Superman's gonna be? What, born in fucking South Central LA and shit? Grow up in
Right.
South Central LA and shit.
Right. If we're gonna, the first teaser is gonna be like, he's gonna see this black dude and he has his white suit and the black gloves. And he's gonna be running lots, and then he's gonna talk about his bigger plans. And I'm like, WB. I feel like there can be some fun to be had here. I could see us having a ball watching it, but at the same time, I like sometimes I just want to be in the creative room, Anzo, when they're just coming up with this shit, because they have so many DC projects that never come out, and then they have so many that do, and it's like I wonder what kind of arguments they have in these rooms, Anzo.
Mm-hmm. John Cena said DC Fandom this October will probably get more details. You're right. We
Yeah,
probably will get more details. But to me, it's just like you said, okay, I get it. People are mad because they never did a Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill. Um, he was a good Superman. Nobody had issues with him as Superman. It was more the story than anything. But
yeah, yeah.
I mean, they don't know what they're doing anyways. And from what I heard, it's like not part of the DCEU anyways. So it's like, why are you
Right.
doing it then? What's the point?
Right. It's like because some of the articles are like, oh yeah, they're doing the Elseworld, and I'm like, the when it comes to, like, if you look at DC and Marvel, right?
Hmm.
DC's like history in terms of all this Elseworld and multiverse thing is some of the most complicated stuff I've read, Anzo. And
Hmm.
it's crazy. It's all over the place. Like, you can have some knowledge over here and not be versed in what they're doing in, like, Earth 23 or Earth 5 or Earth 2, and then it's just like all this other whole set of information. And when they did the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline, that was such a big deal because that was their way of anchoring in everything from the DC multiverse and trying to make it to where, newcomers of the material would have an easier time digesting DC if they wanted to come in just off the bat. And with all these complexities, you want to establish everything else first, so that way when you get to that, it holds more weight. Like, I say stuff like it feels more earned. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
you're looking forward to it in a natural way versus, this seems random and forced, and then now you're just like, okay, at this point, you either just make a good movie or you don't, because it's not really connected to the DCU. So it's like, well, what's the point then? It
I got an idea now. I know they ain't this smart, but what if they're doing all of this, right? They bring out some other characters and shit, and then they end up doing a Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I really that would be awesome, Anzo, because I mean, now that you say that, it's just my mind is like trying to process that because then see with the Arrowverse, right? All the seven some odd shows, they built up the crisis for 7.5 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they had that crisis, and then they do one on the big screen, and then it's just like holy crap, I don't even know what that could look like because then it's just like okay, is that just going to be what they're trying to do for the big screen? Is it then going to bring in all the Arrowverse and all the other DC shows? Like even that in itself poses a great deal of complexity, and you have to be really strategic with how you lay things out. Like I don't think they're smart enough to make that choice, even though I know they can. It's like I feel like they'd be too busy focused on, hey, let's do the Black Superman, or let's randomly do a Batgirl movie, even though you didn't set up the rest of the Batman family. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Well, I
like,
don't think they're
yeah,
smart enough to do that either, because for them to do that, it would have to be planned out for at least 10 years, right?
right,
So
right,
they would
right.
have to plan out that for at least 10 years, and then in a 10-year time have a Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline, but they
Right,
ain't doing that,
right,
bro.
right. Yeah, they uh, no, I just, I don't know why I thought of this, but it's just when you said that, I was just like, yo, Crisis on Infinite Compton. Like, I don't, I'm like, you, it's interesting, man, because they have everything that they need, right? And I'll
Mhm.
see like examples of it. You got a show here, you got a movie there, and then you could see the inklings of greatness. It's just like for some reason there are humans there that interfere, and then there's all these obvious arguments, and then we get like these random projects and stuff, and now we're just like, okay, there's me where I'm like, okay, right, I'm gonna watch it all, and then I'll probably enjoy something a little more than the other, but then you'll get like the masses where they're going to be more selective, right? And it all depends on what you show them,
Watch,
So
mark my words. In the next few years, we're gonna have an all-black Justice League. So Batman's gonna be black. Wonder Woman's gonna be a chick with an afro. We have the Black Superman already, right?
yeah,
And
it'd
the
be
villain
great.
in their
Like,
fight is gonna be a white dude.
wow,
dark,
like,
dark side of white dude.
see, it's like that. That's crazy because I can picture that, and it's like it just would be like in a way it'd be interesting, but then
Age.
sad, right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
like so you put all this effort into this Black Justice League. But then when it came to, the real Justice League, you're screwing Zack Snyder over. You don't know what you're doing. It seems like your energy is going to the wrong place
No,
because
man, their energy is going into that Black Panther money, bro.
that's exactly what they're doing. They're like, you know what? We need that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Although if I were there, right, I'd have told them, I'm like, look, I don't know if y'all can do Black Panther. It's just the timing of it and the planning. It just the pieces were in order, right? Whether you like the movie or not, it just the stars were aligned and that shit just worked out. So
Mm-hmm.
I would tell them that you had like okay, so even though just the order of it is just it's all out of whack, but I would try to clean up the mess the best way I could. I'm like, well, you just did your Death of Superman storyline. So I'd be like, look, which characters do we need to bring in here? Because I'm like, what about Steel? It's been like some decades, and you guys can redeem him. I'm like, why not use him? You just killed Superman, so it's like, the setup for him is there, and you have a chance to use, Henry Cavill again, and you can have him and Steel in a movie together, and there's so much you can do there. And you can also have like an emotional story because of his reasoning for why he wanted to, help the Black community and why he looks up to Superman. Like all this stuff that they just told me in their little meeting that they want to do, like the diversity, the emotion, and they want to get people riled up like Black Panther and stuff. I'm like, this is a no-brainer to me. And then of course, Anzo, you gonna have that dude in the meeting like, no, nobody wants to see Steel. We're gonna do the black Clark Kent. That's what black people want, and that's gonna guarantee us $1 billion. I'm like, these motherfuckers not listening to me, Anzo. Like,
So we're gonna explain this to the people, but first off, just some geeky guy with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much. He said, "I'll be laughing so fucking hard at Warner Brothers once their black pandering Superman film fails miserably." Hey man, I don't know though. Okay, so first off, now let me get this straight. It is Kal-El, which is Clark Kent, right? Because I heard a lot of people saying it's not Clark Kent.
the articles that I saw, it's Clark Kent, like they're race bending him, right? Because you have some people,
That's what I seen too.
right? Because you have some people like, well, here's the tricky part, Anzo, right? Because WD they do a lot of sneaky shit, right? So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they're the only ones that know the real little game that they're playing, right? But Calvin Ellis, in the comics, his Kal El is together. There's no dash, right? So like I see where some humans are like, no, it's really just Kal El, and it's not the other one. And I'm like, okay, but the article said Clark Kent Black, like so I don't know. You got to just kind of throw that out the window. But to me, it's one of those things because if they're gonna do that, it would just make more sense for them to go with the Calvin Ellis dude from I think he's from Earth 23 or something like that, and then you got like Val Zod from Earth 2. And if they want to tie something into some kind of history and real life to have an impact, since they're trying to do the whole Black Panther thing, I'm like Calvin Ellis being the president and stuff, and based on Barack Obama for all intents and purposes, I'm like, you have that there. So you would think that they would jump on something like that if they got to do it, but I guess not.
But from what I heard, those comics were trash, right? I heard his comics were
Yeah,
trash. I
they
don't know. I didn't read them, but I
I
heard they were
I
trash.
haven't read every single Calvin Ellis and Val Zod, but it's like the makings of what I know is that it, it it's all right, Anzo. Like it's not compelling is the word, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
compelling. It's just kind of like, okay, the costumes look cool. I do like their costumes. They look pretty cool. But I felt like the writing there was only just to go, you know what, okay, at least in Calvin Ellis's case, the whole Barack Obama kind of esque thing, just like we got a black president, let's do this. And I'm like, okay, you're trying to honor the president. I understand that. That's not inherently wrong per se, but it's like, what kind of story are you going to tell? And
Mm-hmm.
to me, I didn't think it was all that great. If anything, someone might go, okay, so between uh, Calvin Ellis and Val Zod, which one do I prefer, right? My
Mm-hmm.
answer is really neither, because I don't care about either one of them. But I mean, Val Zod in itself, just him being adopted by the House of L, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you have like Kara Zor-El and then Kal-El, which is basically his foster brother, and then they got sent away before Krypton exploded. So I feel like, Val and Calvin, they both have their little interesting points, but I feel like after they leave from their planet getting wrecked, I feel like that's where it just kind of grows stale. So this
Mm-hmm.
is actually one of the cases to where if they were going to use a Calvin or a Val, that this would might if it turns out to be good, if they were even doing that, that the movie would have a chance of being better than the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would actually go, you know what? Like I want you to make it better because this is not one of those like the comics is so good that the movie's gonna fail my expectations. I'm like, no, like you actually can be in a position where I'm like, you know what? Like I like this more than the comics because I didn't really care for them. Like that was the reason why I stopped reading them.
Well,
Because for me,
mm-hmm.
like just with, whole DC and Marvel in general, you know me, I like to hop around between different characters and groups and stuff. And,
Mm-hmm.
obviously there are some good and bad ones, right? Um, so that's what it is. And it's like I'll read through them and I'm like, I just prefer, you know, Kal-El, Clark Kent. That's my second favorite superhero. And the other Supermen have been interesting, but I feel like the OG one is always like my go-to. And the other ones, I feel like it just depends on what kind of story you tell. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they care about story as much as it is like what is going to get people's attention and what's going to possibly force them to watch it just because they'd be so curious as to not skip it, right?
Right.
But once you have my attention, your attention, and someone else's attention, now that you got us paying attention to the damn thing, now, of course, we're paying attention. So what you got now that we're here? What are you going to give us? You know?
Yeah. So, first off, I wanted to say one thing real quick, but Mads Bear said the script isn't written. Calvin Ellis is also Kal-El.
Yeah.
John Cena said they should. Yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, that's what I was saying. Like, there's a difference between how their name works. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the real Superman is Cal, like Kal dash El.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin's is Kalel, no dash. That's the difference.
Gotcha.
But if they say think of it this way, Anzo, right? Like on screen, if they say his name, it's going to be Kal El. They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
say Cal dash or
That's
Cal no dash.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah, and John Cena said they should finish the Snyder should finish his universe. Literally, they should let Snyder finish his universe on HBO Max. I agree with you 100%. Calvin Ellis' Kryptonian name is Kal-El as well. Like Mama Bear said, yeah, that is correct. All they need to do is let Zack do Justice League 2 and 3, get Ben Affleck's series Man of Steel 2 on HBO Max, and then they can do whatever they want to. But Warner Brothers acting like babies. Matt said,
mhm.
I'm giving the people writing articles the benefit of the doubt, hearing Kal-El and assuming Clark. I admit I could be wrong, but I'm lighting the hope for Lantern. Yeah, I know you want a Green Lantern movie, eh? So we're gonna have Black Superman. We're gonna have John Stewart. We're gonna have a Black Batman. They're gonna have a Black Wonder Woman with an Afro puff, you know,
Mhm. They're
and
they're
that's
gonna
what.
they're gonna give us her sister Nubia from the comics, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
and here and
exactly.
here's the thing, Anzo. Nubia is actually pretty cool. However, like to me, I feel like with the masses, right? Because most of them don't know that. So
Hmm.
to me, it's like with stuff like this, I feel like you just get the one shot because if it's like one of the main characters, you have a chance of rebooting it and remaking it later. To where these extra characters and these background characters, you don't have as many opportunities to get them right because they're in the background for a reason.
Hmm.
So
And
to me, wait, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. No, I was just gonna say, hold that thought. Just some geeky guy $5 super chat. Thank you once again. Do you guys think they'll tie in the Black Superman film to the Reeves Batman film? Um, if they're
Uh,
smart, they'll tie
uh,
both of those into the Joker.
um, that's actually a good complex question because I feel like I don't know because I have to see the Batman, right? Because
Hmm.
like seeing the layout, seeing the setup, I feel like I can then maybe give a much more intelligent answer as to what would make sense for it to connect to because you mentioned the Joker. I feel like that would be more the obvious one, right? Like in terms of the tone of it and everything, the color palette,
Hmm.
that right off the bat, I feel like, that would be one of the ones would be Joker. But it's like at the same time, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was cool and stuff, but I feel like with Robert Pattinson's Batman, he clearly is kicking ass. So I feel like they would have to kind of soup up Joaquin Phoenix's Joker just a little bit in order
Hmm.
to kind of compete with them in that way.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean?
because I couldn't see that Joker fighting a even Robert Pattinson's Batman. I just can't see it. But
Right.
then again, Joker really was more methodical than anything, so he always did get his ass beat by Batman. So
True, true. That's very true. But I just mean like I feel like because with Walking Phoenix's Joker, he's so to the point to where I feel like you could really just get rid of him with one punch, kind of Joker. To
yeah, yeah,
where
yeah,
with
yeah.
Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, they could take some damage, and you could see them kind of hanging a little bit before Batman just wrecks their shit. With this one, I feel like he's only of the not even like a complex level of craziness like what we are accustomed to seeing with the Joker. I felt like he was just starting out and he was getting over his pain and stuff, right? So
Hmm.
there's still a lot of growth that you can get from his character, like dimensions of him that we haven't seen.
Gotcha. Um, the JoJo man said Warner Brothers should just stick to their four animation DC films. Animation for their DC films. Sorry, yeah, their animations is fire. But I want to get one here. Warner Brothers is caring about money right now and not storytelling. And then John Cena also said that Warner Brothers should make an animated film of Calvin Ellis and see how the audience responds to it. I don't have a problem with that. I could definitely see that. And yes, you are correct. I
Um,
will make sure of
now,
that.
now, now, as I've said before, right, Anzo, like, no matter what they do, I'm gonna watch it, right?
Hmm.
But the thing is, as amazing as those DC animated movies are, and like a lot of them have been seen by a lot of humans, but you also have a lot of humans that haven't seen all of them. They've only seen certain ones, right?
Hmm.
They have proven that when they do go to the box office, that they sell out quickly in the few venues that they're released in. So there is an inherent interest, and you're talking about they've been releasing these animated films practically almost as long as I've been alive, damn near. So,
Hmm.
if they do like an animated film for, a Calvin Ellis or a Val Zod, and it's good, then it's like, okay, then, I guess like, you would have some humans like, okay, now I'm more open. But just because the animated thing is good doesn't mean that's going to translate to something good in live action, you know?
That's true.
So it's kind of like one of those things where for me, it's different, but I feel like the average person is not going to automatically say that, oh man, the live action is going to be great. Like at most, you probably would get a higher level of interest, and then that's about it because it's an
Hmm.
animated film.
Yeah, you're correct. But they could either um just put it out there sorry, just put it out there on like HBO Max just to see what it's like. But you are correct that a lot of people won't watch the animated stuff, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
especially if they see a black Superman, they'll be like, oh
Right,
fuck.
right, right. They go because
Fuck that shit.
they gonna see it as like, okay, because there's something about live action, right? Because I have plenty of friends where they're not big on animated stuff, right? They got
Mhm,
like the couple nostalgia stuff when they were kids, but they're not really as excited as like a live action. So, if I know some humans that are like that, there's more of them in the world where they're gonna see it, and then like you said, especially if it's a black Superman, they're gonna be like, "What the hell is this?" Because they're not necessarily
mhm,
following all this stuff like you and I
mhm,
are, right? So it's gonna come
mhm,
as a surprise, and it's gonna feel so random to them. They're gonna be like, "What the fuck is this supposed to be?" Like
mhm.
so
And
you're gonna have you're you're gonna have so many humans that are already gonna dismiss it off of that alone.
mhm. Absolutely. And we were talking about Steel and all that stuff, right? And you're correct. They have a lot of black characters that they can make. But they're in the boardroom and they're saying, Black Panther did well. We should do a black superhero movie. They're like, who do we have? We have Steel, we have Green Lantern, we have
Hmm.
Cyborg. Um,
Hmm.
and they're like, yeah, but I don't think those will give us the Superman the Black Panther type of money. You know what I mean? So they're like,
Right,
hey,
right.
so why don't we make Superman black? They're like, yeah. And someone like
Right.
you will stand up and be like, yeah, Calvin Ellis, we could do Calvin Ellis. And the white people in there are like, who?
Damn,
Who?
that is exactly what. Oh, what the hell? That is too on point to the shit that I be saying in all these scenarios because a lot of them they don't know. They're like, "Wait, who?" They're like, "No, no, Terrence. We're talking about Clark." I'm like,
Mhm.
but sir, I, you got these comic books on the table where you could use them, and you were saying about the multiverse, and they're like, no, 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 nobody cares about that, Terrence. What they care about is a black Superman, and I mean Clark. I mean everybody loves him, the glasses and everything. It's gonna be great. And look, I have some black friends, Terrence. Okay, they're gonna eat this up. They're gonna say it's the greatest thing ever. We're not only gonna make Black Panther money, Terrence, but we are gonna double that. That's right, we're gonna double that. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman, but our money is coming. I can already see the dollar signs, Terrence. And it's just
You
me
know,
standing there like,
they're
yeah, I
like,
think,
because they're like, because black people will be like, oh my gosh, a black Superman, they're going to eat it up. And then the white people will be like, oh, it's Clark Kent, and they're gonna eat it up. So we're gonna get black people money and white people money.
exactly. Yeah, but they're like, Terrence, it's just me just sitting there with my head down. They're like, look, before you get disappointed, I want you to think about this. Everybody, they love kids. Now think about all the black boys and girls out there. They'll be able to now look up to not only Black Panther, but a black Superman. Think about that. You have T'Challa. That's his name, right, Jerry? Yeah, yeah, something like that. It might be, yeah, some T'Challa, something. Yeah, think about this. Or they're
And
gonna
someone
have T'Challa,
and someone's gonna be like, don't forget Captain America.
right? Like we're gonna have him there in the jungle, and then we're gonna have one in the sky. We're gonna have all the areas covered. It's gonna be great. Trust us on this, Terrence. I'll just walk out. I'm like,
What up,
what's up,
Poe?
Paul? What's up,
What's
man?
up, everybody?
What's
What's up,
going
Chad?
on? Yeah, so first off, John Cena said, Flashpoint is the key. And that is correct. Like, they actually have Flashpoint where they could basically, and this is what I was saying on Rob's show the other night. Well, it was on my channel, but on Rob's show. But what I was saying the other night, like, they literally can do a Flashpoint and change everything, still keep the same actors that they have. So they can keep Gal Gadot, they can keep Henry Cavill, they can keep Flash, they can keep all the characters, and they could just do it in a way that they want it. But for whatever reason, they figure they know what we want, and this is what they're doing.
Right. And with the Flashpoint storyline, based on what I saw with Ezra from Zach's movie, I'm now more interested in the film like than I was
Mm-hmm.
before. And with that storyline, when you're talking about just comic book storylines in general, that Flashpoint storyline is just so impressive. Like from a narrative standpoint, what it did for DC and those characters, and it's also a very sad story, and made the main character think about how he was doing something to where he got called out by a villain. He had to question the decision that he made to try to save his mother. And
Mm-hmm.
if you do that properly, to me, you are in a position to be considered now in the conversation of, this is one of the best comic book movies of all time. But you would have to nail every aspect that made that story important.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. John Cena said, if the next three DC movies flop, I think Warner Brothers will wake up. I think if the next three movies flop, they'll be calling Jack Snyder real quick and be like, hey, you still want to do those Justice League 2 and 3 movies?
To
Trust me.
be
Right,
to be honest,
right.
I heard that they actually got him working on a secret project.
Who, Warner
Hmm.
Brothers?
Yes.
that is
Well,
very interesting.
if they have total control over DC, then yes.
Warner Brothers does have total control over it.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep.
Um.
We'll
Well,
see in the next year or two.
because look, now some humans might say that they would prefer the next handful of DC movies to fail in hopes of getting Zack Snyder to come back. For me, being a huge DC fan, I do not want any of their movies to fail. That's not good, especially if you're talking about some of these conversations that I heard, like, oh yeah, the next, all that has to happen is the next 3 or 5 to fail, and then I'm like, that's too many movies to fail. That's not good, because you got to think of it not just for DC, but it's comic book films as a whole. You don't want any of these projects to fail, because as much as we're caring about all these projects and stuff, the masses are different with how they think. So it's better for the collective of the genre that these films succeed as much as possible.
Absolutely, 100%. Because then they'll start with the narrative, like superhero fatigue is kicking in, and blah blah blah, and all that shit.
Well, to be
Magic.
honest, DC haven't had a superhero fatigue yet because a lot of people haven't been agreeing with their films and the way they portray them, the characters, and the way everything been going on in the movie franchise. The comic book franchise, that's a different story. But as far
Yeah.
as the movie franchise, um, you had a lot of response back more than ever, with Zack Snyder coming back, just not only as a director, a producer, writer, and going forward with the characters that they have brought forward since. He brought the characters, brought them
hmm
to a light,
He
and you
did.
had response from the fans more than ever, more than Marvel than anything.
Yeah,
What was
that's
that
true.
that tweet that Zack Snyder got 1.5 million?
It was the
In
Restore the
24
Snyder
hours.
was,
Yeah, in
yeah,
24,
it
the
beat
most ever.
Yeah.
it
So,
beat Endgame, right? That's
yep,
hmm
very impressive. So
yep.
it to that amazing point is that while I don't want any comic book property to fail, I don't want any DC property to fail. It's like DC, what they have proven is that no matter how much time goes by, they're always going to be in the game. And no matter how much, mistakes, quote unquote, that they make, they're always going to have something that works. Zack Snyder's Justice League is proof of that. Aquaman is proof of that. The first Wonder Woman is proof of that. They're,
hmm
they're always going to be in the conversation. And if you're in the conversation, this is good in comparison to if no one's talking about you at all. Then that's when you've
hmm
truly died.
hmm Even if they're getting negative publicity, it's still good publicity, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
um, but I would just always said, like I was saying this the other night, like, what the fuck did Zack Snyder do to Warner Brothers? You know what I mean? And my theory was he wasn't a yes man. That's the only reason I could see why they did that to him, is because he wasn't a yes man.
At the
Right.
time, he lost his daughter through
hmm
suicide. Like,
He did, and then
like,
they fired him,
Yeah. They made it seem like, he just decided to
stepped
quit
away.
because
but
he
they did.
because he was depressed.
They brought in somebody that came from Marvel, Josh Whedon.
hmm
Mhm.
Who
Like
destroyed
Yeah.
it?
what?
Who
Like
killed that movie? Because this is what I think, and this is what I'm gonna say. Like I said, he wasn't a yes man. So when he was doing Justice League, they were probably like, "No, you got to do it more like Marvel. You got to do it more like this. You got to do it like this." And he was like, "No, I don't. I'm not doing it like that. Like it's gonna ruin my story. This is bad. This is that." Then the tragedy happened. He stepped away, and that's when they're like, "Okay, you know what? Now is our chance. So we're gonna fire him." Right, and then we're gonna bring in Josh Whedon to do the movie the way we want him to do it, and that's
yes.
what they did, and we ended up with a shit show of a movie.
You
Hmm.
you you know what's interesting, Anzo, is that before this whole Zack Snyder debacle, WB was known for the idea of having creators come in and do whatever vision that they wanted on DC. This is what set them apart from Marvel because of that.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
will let them do that. And I think that in Zack Snyder's case, because they're like, okay, you're going to do this shared universe, I feel like he probably had a collection of ideas that were so creative that it went beyond what Warner Brothers normally is okay with. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened. And instead of them talking to him and doing things in a professional manner, they did some sneaky snake shit and just waited and fucked him over. And it
Mm-hmm.
just, I
But
really, I
at
don't
the
like
end
it.
of the day, Mr. Terrence, they made money out of Justice League, and they made money out of Zack Snyder with HBO. HBO paid them to play that on there.
Well, I mean,
They already had a deal anyway, HBO and WB, but they still made money out of both. They're
well,
doing
them,
this. They did that with Superman and Batman vs Superman, the Ultimate Cut, the theater cut, theatrical cut. They keep doing it with every movie. So they're basically just robbing us from seeing what we really want to see. But Marvel giving us to us all. You remember with Marvel, the Falcon and Winter Soldier, when Zemo was dancing, everybody, it was on Twitter, it went crazy. When he was in episode 4, right? Episode 3 or 4, Zemo was dancing. Within 24 hours, they released Marvel themselves, released a whole hour cut of him dancing for the fans. Why
yeah.
can't the CEOs of DC do that for their
Well,
fans?
here's the thing with the Justice League. Number one, that film failed, so they didn't make a whole lot of green off of that.
Not as
So
much as they
there's that.
wanted.
Yeah, not as much as they wanted. So
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to WB, they have times where they well, I mean, like if you look at the projects, they made some money, but some money is not a success in all cases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But when it comes to WB, they have areas where they listen and ones where they just don't. It's just like on deaf ears. And depending on which project you break down, that becomes apparent. Like when the fans for years are like, "Yo, when is Superman gonna team up with Shazam? When is Man of Steel 2 gonna come out?" Like it's just been there consistently, and then all of a sudden, then this is happening. That's another example of them not listening, and that becomes a problem because when you're talking about them trying to make the most money, listening to the fans will help you. That's why you have something that's unusual in the Sonic movie when they changed the design of the character, and then a lot of humans were happy,
They
and that
listen to the
movie did
fans.
very well. Yeah,
Yes.
and not it kind of was like in good faith because of course a lot of humans enjoying the movie is the most important thing, but being able to change the design of something is a show of good faith. It shows that you care, which means that even if you would have had some humans that were hesitant to support the movie because you did something like that, the respect is there, and that's unusual.
And
So
that's why it did so well.
And I'm
yeah,
gonna tell you
exactly.
what's unusual with me in the DC universe. The way Mr. Zack Snyder portrayed Wonder Woman and the way she was portrayed in other films, 1984, Patty Jenkins, and the one before, like they watered her down. Go to a bar, get a drink, they water it down, But she was very watered down from Zack Snyder's Justice League because she was the truth in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Well,
To me, she was portrayed way more beautiful, way less ass shots in the first Justice League and upskirt, that type of things. She was way more respected to me. And that's coming from a man. I can't speak for every human here or every lady, man, anybody else that may be watching from a different universe. Because we know Anzo got those connections, and Terrence, you do too. But that character right there I've seen her. It seemed like she's jumping around so far, in the way she's portrayed.
And
Wow.
and here's the thing though, to your point. When it comes to the Wonder Woman character, this is a character that has been around for a long time. And she has been in different periods of time dealing with different sets and groups of heroes. So for them to portray her in different ways is actually very appropriate. The problem is that you have to be careful with what kind of stories you're telling, because in the first Wonder Woman, the whole thing was to showcase that, you know, she is a badass warrior. In Wonder
Mm-hmm.
Woman 84, the whole point of that was to show that, you know, she has an emotional side, that she can be weak and vulnerable, and that, you know, that still kind of keeps her as a warrior, and you're supposed to like appreciate those other qualities. But the only problem with that is that the story they went with didn't work for a lot of humans.
It sure
So
didn't. It didn't work with me. But don't get me wrong. I think I'm like the only one that actually. I went to the theaters to see it. Wonder Woman 1984. Yes, I did. Seen it in the IMAX. I enjoyed the movie. A lot of people didn't enjoy the movie. I enjoyed the time I was there. COVID and
I,
all that. I just escaped myself and just got myself into it. I enjoyed it, but it did not. The story did not work for me.
I enjoyed it too, and I appreciate it on levels that a lot of humans do not, and that's fine. But it's just only because the what was given to me, I coupled it with the knowledge that I have about the character. And Wonder Woman, while she's not one of my favorite characters, the character is epic and beautiful in the sense that you can always reshape her, and she has so many stories to tell. But again,
I
you
do
have to
agree.
be sure to tell a story that humans can relate to, or that they will
Mm-hmm.
find compelling. And if you lose them in it, then you kind of like missed an opportunity. Because with the fans wanted to see Steve Trevor again, they made that happen.
Yeah.
You know, they wanted to see more of that. That, you know, they gave them that, but it's like in the context of the story, right? So,
Yes.
you know, when you get to Wonder Woman 3, what
Hmm.
what should happen is that, you know, you need to combine all those elements into the same movie. So you
See,
need to
Terrence,
take.
there shouldn't be a Wonder Woman 3 if they're not a Man of Steel 2. Being
I
honest.
agree,
Being honest.
but here's the thing. Man of
Go ahead.
Steel 2 is probably not going to happen now.
I
Um,
agree.
We'll see. We'll see.
Wonder Woman has already had her two movies, so it seems more likely that she's going to get a third. So
Yep.
with that, hopefully it's Patty. I want her to finish that out. Like, I don't agree with them just like now trying to get another director. I think that she deserves a chance to finish the trilogy, the character that she started with.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do is learn from the mistakes that you made in the second one, which is, you know, humans, they want to see the character being badass, like how they saw her in Zack Snyder's Justice League and how they saw her in the first Wonder Woman movie. That's all you got to do. And if she can do that, which I think that she can, then you're going to end up with a third movie that's better than the second one, and then we can all celebrate. You know, that'd be an area where we can rejoice. Like, yeah, look, see, Wonder Woman, you know, usually in a trilogy, the third movie's the worst, and then, you know, it could end up being the best or on the level of the first movie if you just simply course correct. Because again, I like it, but I can't ignore.
All right. So
Uh,
that's Mr. Terrence. That's in the universe, right? That's in the universe of the DCEU.
yeah,
So I want to ask both of y'all this, Anzo and Mr. Terrence. Anzo,
Well, yeah, before you answer that question, let me just say this. You didn't want me, Mads, because I didn't like it. So, well, go ahead.
I want to ask you this. How do y'all feel about all of these standalone movies that they're doing for these characters? And even the reboot of the new Suicide Squad that's about to come out. How do y'all feel about that?
About them making standalone movies?
The Joker, the Batman, and not continue on with the universe that they already established. The standalone movies that's not really coherent with what's going on, unless they're going to use the Flash to bring it all together. I don't know what they got planned from 10 years from now. 10 years from now, you know, we never know what's going to happen. With the Marvel has been keeping it consistent. There has been Kevin Feige and his team has been pleasing fans. As far as DC, they keep throwing out these standalone movies. How do y'all feel about that? Along with this new Suicide reboot that's going on right now.
I
Whoever
heard
want to go first?
I heard the Suicide Squad was just a soft reboot, but I don't care. How about you, Terrence?
Thank you. I don't care
Um,
about the new one.
okay. They announced a lot of projects, some of which are connected to the DCU, like Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, the Suicide Squad being a soft reboot, and then of course you have, and then Black Adam as well, right? Shazam 2 and
Mm-hmm.
all that, and then the side ones are
Yep.
like the Batman and
Yeah.
what else did they announce? I don't think they announced any other ones that I can
They
remember.
announced one more, I think, after the Batman. They
Um,
did. I forgot what it was.
because the other ones that I just mentioned, I know they announced them, and the majority of those are connected to the DCEU. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, I'm like DC is doing what they've been doing for a long time, which is a lot of things at once. They give you a variety because with the MCU, as much as I love it, it's continuous. There's no ending
Mm-hmm.
in sight.
Mm-hmm.
As to where with WB, they have all these different things, right? They had like Smallville, and that was like its own multiverse, and they did the Arrowverse and the DCU and the animated stuff. Then you got the different separate TV shows like Titans and Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing. So to me, like being a fan of DC, I like the variety because in the event that I don't like a show or a movie, there's always going to be one that I do like. Now, for the masses, of course, that are not going after every single DC project, then it's just a question of like, what are they looking for? Do they care about the shared universe, or is it more of like an individual project basis? Because I think the masses, I don't think they care as much. They just want to enjoy a movie. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think they care about like or even know to the degree that we do. Like, oh, this person meets this one and this and that. They just know the basics of the characters. So I think that as long as the movies are good, it's fine. And for me, I'm just like, look, I don't care if it's a shared universe or individual projects. I just want good movies. Now, because they have the shared universe, multiple shared universe, like I love the Arrowverse, I love the DCEU. There's a few films in the DCEU that I don't care for. Like, unfortunately, I didn't like BVS, which for me was heartbreaking because those are my two favorite superheroes. Like, you'd think that'd be my favorite comic book movie, period, but it's
Thanks,
not.
Poe.
So, but I'm like, look, just make some good stuff because sometimes, standalone things have their benefits because you don't have to worry about, keeping up with a million movies like the MCU, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, say, I have a kid, right? And then the kid is like now at an age where they can understand what they're watching. At that point, there might be like 50 MCU movies and then like 30 shows. Like, that's a lot to keep up with versus like, yo, here's the Batman. There's two movies. Yo, what you want to watch? You want to watch
The
Smallville? Okay.
Batman. There's like many movies of Batman to
No,
mention.
no, no. I mean the one with Robert Pattinson, right? We're just
Okay,
saying
okay,
like,
okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So just like, okay, here's your two movies, or there could be a specific focus point. Like the child or the adult does not have to worry about like, damn, if I watch this one MCU movie, there's going to be some confusion. You're not going to know who's this and how they got there. You're almost forced to watch the whole thing. And maybe the person doesn't want to do that. So sometimes you have to look at the many different sides of the equation in terms of what that individual person wants to digest. Like for example, one of my friends, man, he's all about X-Men, right? So if it ain't X-Men, he don't care. Same thing with the comic books. Like he's not
That's
even reading. Like
Terrence. That's my next question about S Man, but I know he got a super chat here.
Yeah,
oh, okay,
man.
yeah, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
MSK $2 super chat. Birds of Prey is the number one DC movie. Thank you for the super chat, MSK, and you too, Poe.
No problem.
He's always trolling with this fucking Birds of Prey shit,
Yeah.
bro.
Oh my
Every time I
god!
go
Like
on his streams, it's always like
Hey,
bullshit,
I'm
right?
not gonna lie. I enjoyed it in the theater. I enjoyed that movie. I like
I didn't
I
hate
did.
it.
to look
I,
sexy. Look at sexy women like
I
doing
didn't
their
hate it
thing.
either. I didn't hate
I,
it
The
I,
either.
story,
I, I
the story
enjoyed it
was
too.
shit. I enjoyed the movie.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it too, but it's one of those things where I was like, okay, I'm entertained, but I'm like, this is a Harley Quinn movie. This
Stupid
is not
shit. Yeah,
Birds of
yeah.
Prey.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
So it's like
Hmm.
if they would have just called it Harley Quinn, and like, oh, okay, yeah, this makes sense because the Birds of Prey were more or less in the background, and you didn't even have all the members on top of that. So
It,
just
Hmm.
it was
I,
kind of misleading.
I don't
I
mean
get.
to steer away from what he just said about Birds of Prey, but I kind of feel the same way how we were just talking about the Birds of Prey movie about New Mutants, and that's a Marvel thing. That was like, hold on, Birds of
New
Prey
Mutants was
was
trash,
way
bro.
more enjoyable than New Mutants. That was complete
New Mutants was
trash.
trash, bro.
Man,
New Mutants
man,
was trash.
let me Poe. I'm so glad you brought that up because that's actually great timing because I was going into the X-Men shit, and
That
my
was
friend,
trash. That is not
my
good
friend,
transition. And hold on, they bought the rights from somebody to get that.
No,
What
no.
else?
So that was Sony's last movie.
yeah, because it was like it because they did the Fox Disney merger, right? Because like
Yeah, Fox. Sorry,
at,
not
at,
Sony.
at the
Fox.
at the time you had because I was watching The Gifted, the X-Men base show, and I was watching Legion, the show about Charles Xavier's son, and it just they were just dead in the water, and I was like, fuck, and I didn't like that because I was enjoying those, and it was like, okay, the Fox Disney merger, but also the other side of me, the Marvel fan, is just like, well, okay, now they'll get to interact with other characters, but it's just there was a different flavor coming from Fox, you know,
Hmm.
and the MCU they have their like as I say, they have their formulaic tone, with the exception of a few that break beyond that. Where you're like, oh shit, this is just great. This is not just like, you know, the next MCU film. Like this is really something special.
To,
So
to
I
be
like
honest,
when you have other studios that do these different comic book properties.
I do too.
I started snoring in not Birds of Prey, and New Mutants. My buddy hit me
Did
like
you like
this,
New Mutants,
like
Terrence?
wake up, like wake up, like
What sounds?
Did you like New Mutants?
You know what? Like I was okay with it, right?
If you
Like,
say
cause look,
yes, I'm gonna kick you off the stream right
like
now.
okay, look, no, let me
Phantom
tell you,
Zone.
okay, cause look, here's my thing, right? I thought a lot of the movie was a waste of huge potential, like
Hmm.
especially not utilizing this whole horror thing that was going to be played up in it. Like I was like, what the fuck? So to me,
Hmm.
the one thing that kept me interested the whole time was the Majid character played by Anya Taylor Joy. I thought she was the best thing in the movie,
the
and I
Asian,
felt
the Asian
I
character.
No,
mhm.
no, the one with the dragon.
Yeah, the one with Lockheed.
I don't remember the movie, so okay.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah. Lockheed was the one where you know you see her with the stuffed animal, but that's a real dragon, and you know the fucking soul sword and shit. Like I felt bad for the Majid character, who's Colossus's sister. I was like, I love this character so much. Like, why couldn't they put her in a better movie? It was like she had to tone herself down because they had them like trapped in this building. I was like, Anzo, I was like, you mean to tell me that my girl Majid can't get out this fucking building?
Thank you,
Hmm.
Terrence.
Hmm.
I was like,
Thank you for saying that.
I felt like every time she went off camera, she was being talked to. They was like, "Look, my G, we gonna need you to stay here. You know, an hour and 30 minutes make the movie work and stuff." And I'm like, because
Yeah,
they had
Hmm.
this little force field, and I'm like, "Look, I'm not denying that some mutants won't be able to get out of here, but I'm like, my G is so fucking powerful in her ways of going through the different dimensions and going to hell and all kinds of shit." I'm like, that would be like some shit where she would be snoring in her sleep and just take down that barrier. That's how that would happen.
Terrence. We seen Wolverine get out of his facility twice,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and she couldn't get out. It's all good.
Right.
Yeah,
I feel like Wolverine would. like Wolverine is so beast to where I feel like he would just stare at the force field and it would deactivate itself. Like that's what would happen. Like so, like, but I mean, it was one of those things where I watched and I was like, for this to be the last, X-Men film from Fox, it's underwhelming. Like I don't hate it, but it's like it should have been so much more. Should have been so much more.
It was a forgettable movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like in the street of comic book movies, you're probably not going to mention that. It's going to be like last on the list because it doesn't stand out in any way.
I think Mr. Unzo got another super chat.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I think he's trolling.
MSK, another $2 super chat. Thank you. Can we get a Catwoman extended edition? I can tell you this, Danny would love that.
Yeah,
Danny would love that.
I can look at Halle Berry all day.
As long as they put her strolling, like doing that strut for like they could put a whole movie of Halle Berry strutting, and Danny would be like, "Oh my god, this is the best movie I've ever seen."
Yeah, it was just like I remember watching that like so many years ago, and I was just bored. And then when it got to that end when she was strutting, they had the music playing. I'm like, so why wasn't the rest of the movie this interesting? Like, and then it was just like, then it went off just as fast, and I was like,
okay, I ain't even gonna lie. Danny showed me that like he plays that clip again, and I don't think she looks that good in it. I don't.
I hear you. Like it's not like it's not as impressive as Danny makes it out to be.
No, I don't think she looks that good in it. Like she looks like she has no body, and I'm just like,
dude, she looked just as good as Michelle Pfeiffer did.
Oh hell to the Batman. Fucking no!
No, I love them both. I love them both equally.
Oh no, Poe, you good? I'm just saying, like, cause. Like I just that one scene where she was on the bed and then Penguin came in and she was licking herself.
Yep, and she ate the bird right before she ate the bird. Yeah,
I was like, I don't know. It was a combination of Michelle Pfeiffer and what she was doing with the body language and the leather, and I was like, Batman, you my boy and everything, but sometimes in life you got to bend her over. That's gotta.
Batman should have kicked fucking Penguin out and then bent her over one time, bro. That would have been like, you little fat fucker, you better get the fuck out of here.
Well, the window. I still remember that scene, Alonzo, when they was on the roof, and she was throwing moves at him, and then he was blocking her, and then he backhanded her, right? And then she was like, "How could you? I'm a woman," and then. Like the way Batman's demeanor changed, like, my bad. And then she like kicked him and stabbed him.
Dude, that movie is iconic. I still love it to this day.
Yeah. That shit was cool, yeah.
I like that movie too. That movie's a classic, But yeah, MSK said Halle Berry sucked in both of her comic book roles. You're absolutely correct.
Hey! To be fair though, like I'd take her as Storm all day over what I saw in that Catwoman.
Yes.
Okay, I agree.
Hell yes.
But she wasn't a good fit for Storm, and even though she wasn't a good fit, she could have probably been a good fit. But they didn't do nothing.
They sure did.
Right? They didn't write her good at all or nothing.
I agree with that.
I mean?
It's the writer.
You know what's crazy though, because yeah, my friend, he like.
You guys talk
about. When I asked him about the New Mutants, he like his face said it all initially. He was just like, Terrence, it's like, yeah, we'll talk about it later. I was just like, because he's an X-Men guy. So
are you talking about Storm?
No. His reaction to the New Mutants, man, like just when someone that really loves like a comic book or some characters and they tell you we'll talk about it later, I'm like, that's not a good sign. They probably didn't enjoy it.
It's really not, man.
And I mean, when it comes to Storm, he liked it. He of course he prefers the comic book one, but he was just like, yo, Halle Berry. He was like, yo, and I coupled that with, yo, man, she could shock me anytime. Yeah, when she told, you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? I'm like, I don't know, man, but I want to know what happens when a Terrence gets struck by lightning. I'm right over here. Yep.
Yeah, she can strike me anytime, dude. She's still to this day, she's a beautiful lady, and she handled her roles very well. I just think in X-Men movies and in Catwoman movie, it was very lazy writing. It wasn't up to par what she could bring forth, and she was like put in the back burner because Storm was a major part in the comics. So
You know what's messed up too. Like it was a very tiny arc in Marvel where T'Challa was with Storm.
I know they dated. They dated.
It would have been like to see T'Challa with Storm in the MCU. Like that'd have been so fucking cool to see that. Like just the whole wedding and the ceremony, like that. We probably not gonna get that, which
So
is
I got
sad.
a question for both of y'all. Do y'all ever think in the next 10 years we will see a X-Men versus not versus, but an X-Men with a Marvel universe?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, of course.
yeah, because
I don't think
yeah,
so.
Why not? X-Men
it's
are
gonna
coming,
happen.
bro.
Like
Yeah.
They hold on. They would tease it, but full on X-Men.
Yes, the X-Men
yeah,
are
they're
coming in the
gonna do it.
MCU.
They're coming.
Y'all are so confident about that.
No,
Yeah,
we
because
know.
they have the
Like
properties. They've
yeah, Kevin
said it.
Feige.
Kevin Feige has said it.
Not
Kevin
full.
Feige.
They're gonna tease it for the next 10 years, but full on X-Men, no.
I don't think. No, Paul,
Not
man.
10 years.
It's not. First of all, this current phase that we're on, right, from now to 2023, that's 10 movies.
They're focused on
That's
Doctor
not it.
Strange, Spider-Man, and
But no,
the
I know, but I'm
multiverse.
just saying,
Hold
like,
on, hold on. Let him finish. Paul,
so
go
think
ahead.
about this, right? So from now to 2023, we know that 10 movies are coming, and they show Fantastic Four. It doesn't have a date because I think they're still working on the script and the casting. We know that Blade is coming. Kevin Feige said that he wants to do the X-Men. He's going to, but it's like
In
the
phase
way
5.
to and right the way to incorporate them is complex because now you have to think about the universe as a whole. He has to figure out who he's going to cast as all the characters, and also if okay, like with the Eternals, right now,
Correct.
that I'm concerned about that because that has so much agenda is making my head spin. But if they focus on it the way that I want them to, despite that kind of silliness that's going on there, you know, you're talking about the Celestials. Like if they go over the Celestials, created the Eternals and the Deviants, and then how Thanos is an Eternal, and then the experiments of the Celestials that led to the mutant gene in the first place, which led to the X-Men. Like the foundation can be there, and then also, you know, if you go back to what am I thinking of? Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Remember, Anzo, when we were watching it, and they had said magic porn, I was like, I heard that shit somewhere. Remember, Anzo? And I was like, I think that shit's connected to me. I was like, let me double check because it tends to bother me when I like know something, but I can't like pinpoint it or I'm not sure. So like, and then sure enough, boom, and they kept saying it throughout the whole episode. Magic porn, magic porn. They wanted to make sure that we're getting these hints, and I feel like once we get the X-Men, it's going to be in a big way. And I think what they're going to do is they're going to introduce a few at a time. I'm thinking like a Charles and a Magneto are going to show up first, kind of stuff, and then we'll be introduced to the teams after that. And then you know once we get them kind of sprinkled here and there, you know you get a mid-credit scene, you get this mutant and stuff like that. Then Mr. Feige is going to go, oh yeah, by the way, X-Men. Hopefully it's not called like no X people or X person or something like that.
So I would like to reiterate my question. I said the next 10 years, but the next 5 years, no, right? Because they just not about to give us Shang-Chi. They just now about to give us the Eternals. They just now about to give us all these other properties that's about to come up. And they have full rights to X-Men, but they got to weave them into the story that's coherent with what they already got going on now. So the next 5 years, I don't think it's going to happen. Within the next 10 years, Terrence, you and Anzo, y'all convinced me. Yeah, it might happen in the next 10 years, but 5 years, no.
I think, okay. So here's what I think. I think once we get rid of this slate of Phase 4, we're going to get a new list of movies for Phase 5. Phase 4 should finish in 2023.
Yeah.
No,
2023.
that's Phase 5, right?
No,
No, this is stage
2023.
4.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is stage 4 that's coming up now,
Yeah.
It's starting
Yeah.
with
So,
Far From Home.
which is
No,
stage
no, no. I mean, No Way Home. No Way Home. I'm sorry.
which is Phase 4.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
So Phase 4, No Way Home, Shang-Chi, The Eternals,
hmm
Blade, Black Widow. Black Widow's a part of this Phase 2. And
You're right.
then Fantastic Four. And then once those movies are done, then we're going to get into the news phase. And I'm pretty sure the last movie in that phase will be an X-Men movie.
Right. And it's
So
and
that'd
that's
be
the
like
thing too.
Phase 7, Phase 8.
Um. Well, it's. I feel like I think between, let's
That's another.
say,
That's another
between
15 movies.
right. I think it's kind of like, let's say, between 2023 and 2026. I feel like in between there, we're either going to get an X-Men movie or Kevin Feige is going to make a huge announcement as to when and where we're going to see them. Because
It's
with
probably going to be some sort of tease, you know what I mean? Like he'll
right,
probably
right,
tease
right,
them in the movies.
right, and because with the possible stuff that they could do with the Eternal setting up and the Falcon and Winter Soldier, for all we know, Omega Red could be in Black Widow. For all we know, I mean, there's so many
Hmm.
different
Hmm.
areas that we don't know, right? So the more we see of these projects, it will give us a better idea of what and who may come about and how quickly. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
it should be interesting. That's why when it comes to all these projects, whether I have concern about them or not, there's different levels of excitement because of the possibilities, because I don't know what they're going to do. Like sometimes I can guess certain things, but there's all these twists and turns and changes and all this kind of stuff to where it can be difficult to pinpoint it.
I agree. I agree. And we already know that Kevin Feige probably has another plan for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? He
yeah,
knows what
yeah,
he's gonna do. Like they already got their plan. We're gonna do this. We're gonna bring in X-Men. The big villain for this phase, these phase of movies, probably gonna be Galactus or some shit. Like they already know what they're gonna do. They just gotta execute it. So
right.
um,
You're right, and Anzo, man, because between between Galactus, between Doctor Doom,
mhm,
Silver
between
Surfer.
yeah, of course, yeah, he's part of
mhm,
that with the whole Fantastic Four, but just in terms of like the villains, right? Like Doctor Doom, between Doctor Doom, Galactus, Norman Osborn, you're talking about you have stuff for the Dark Avengers, you have stuff for the X-Men, you have stuff for the Fantastic Four. The introduction of the Eternals can set up a whole lot of cosmic activity. So
mhm,
they're like Kevin Feige doing these different sections. There's a whole lot of setup and history that comes along with that. It's almost like each individual character or each group will usher in a particular set of characters being heroes and villains alike. And even with something like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, with
mhm.
the whole Kang the Conqueror and shit, and how he's connected to Reed Richards. It's like, Kevin Feige is very good with putting the pieces in order. And then with, Loki and these different shows and tying into it, there's some variables there where we don't quite know everything that might happen there, right? Before we get into a movie. So
Mhm.
it should be interesting to see.
And
Yeah, we
Terrence,
know,
I got
guys.
a
Hold on, we know, guys. Terrence is a little choppy. We know that, but just bear with it, guys.
yeah. Just bear with it. He's speaking some truth.
Hmm. What I
And
was gonna
Terrence,
say is, do you guys think that like Kevin Feige has to explain how the X-Men are in this universe, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
actually think that multiverse of madness would be the best way to do it. I just don't
yeah.
think it's gonna happen in that movie, but I think that would be the best way for them to explain mutants in the MCU.
I think you're correct,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think that WandaVision kind of helps that out a little bit. The whole
Um,
series, how it went down with Monica Rambeau, I
Hmm.
think that could, and how Wanda is doing her dark magic. The last scene that we seen with her, with the book, I don't even know what she got that from.
yeah, the you talking about
Agatha
the dark
Harkness.
hole?
The
Yeah,
Yes,
dark hole, yeah.
I think that will kind of explain because she's gonna get her kids from what's that guy named Mephisto. Oh, I can't
that's
pronounce it.
what I thought they were gonna do in the show, like where because you have Mephisto, he's the one that helped give them life, and then he's the one that killed them too before they get reincarnated later. That's what I thought they were gonna do.
You still
Hmm.
hold on. He still can give them life. He gonna give them life again to her. Maybe we
I,
don't know.
I can see that, but it's just like it's in a different order, so I'd have to kind of see what kind of story it's coupled with. But like,
Hmm.
I don't like the idea of because I've been hearing it a lot, or at least when
What's up,
WandaVision was
brother?
new, that Wanda is responsible for the whole mutant thing. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because what about Amal Farouk, the Shadow King, and Apocalypse? They've been around for thousands of years and shit. That
Hmm.
wouldn't make
Hmm.
sense to me. Like, so I think that Kevin Feige has a smarter plan for the mutants. And I do believe that some of that has to rest with the Eternals because it just makes sense. Like to introduce them and to not explain to those that are not familiar with them the history that comes with those characters would just be odd to me. It'd be like, okay, if you don't do it here, where are you going to do it? Because like you said, Anzo, like with Doctor Strange, you don't really, think they're going to do that. It's because there's so much there, and you want to give it attention. It can't be like the whole here it is, and then you just kind of like a throwaway thing. Like you want it to be meaningful and impactful when it happens.
But
Hmm.
Terrence, he had plenty of time. Kevin Feige, Disney, and Marvel had plenty of time to bring it in with the character of Thor. Maybe the fourth Thor movie, they'll bring all those characters in too, because that's going to tie in with the Eternals.
Um, Thor would kind of be an odd placement, like because I feel like with the storyline of Gore the God Butcher and how his family was killed and he was praying to the gods, they didn't help him, and he went on this quest to kill all the gods and trying to go to these different universes and stuff, and you got the three different Thors from different timelines working together, and they barely were able to defeat him. That storyline in itself would take up a 2-hour movie to where I'm like, where would you even find the time to go? Here's the X-Men. Like it just seemed
Hmm.
But
weird.
but think about this. They Marvel has they have their Universal movies and they have their Earthbound movies. They got Guardians of the Galaxy and they have their Thor movies. Then they
Yeah,
have the Avengers and everything that happened on Earth movies, and they got Captain Marvel that's happening in between both. Kevin Feige is wise enough to do both, and I do trust him. And they got this Loki that's coming up. So, and with WandaVision that coming up, the TV series that not coming up, but that we recently watched that was majorly successful. I think that he has a lot to play on. Not just him. I'm not putting everything on his shoulders. I don't want to seem like that way. But they have a lot to go on from that. And with Ant-Man, the quantum universe, that's the whole other universe outside of space, outside of the Earth, the quantum universe. So he has plenty playroom. But I'm kind of the X-Men coming in. It's kind of. I think it's gonna be cheesy. I'm gonna just put it out there. I'm sorry if I upset
I,
anybody.
Well,
I think it's gonna be cheesy.
no, it's okay. You can say that, but I
Yeah,
have faith in Kevin Feige. I don't think anything's gonna be cheesy. It's either gonna be good or not good, but not cheesy.
because um, here's the thing, right? There's different levels to this because while I trust him, that doesn't mean that I always agree with every creative decision. That's
Yeah,
number one.
absolutely not.
I agree.
Number two,
What's up,
right?
K
Like
Dot?
you have these different levels that you know that I think about, which is okay, how are you going to bring them in? Once they're in, what kind of stories are you going to tell? Because if I think about something like, say, The Gifted that was on Fox, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way that those humans were treating the mutants and killing them and torturing them and stuff, I'm just like, what? How far are they going to go with that in the MCU? Because they tend to shy away from stuff like that, you know.
And
Because
I'm sorry, Unzo, for interrupting Mr. Terrence, but that's what I want to say about New Mutants. I hope they don't adapt that on how they mistreated the humans in that facility and bring that storyline and introduce the S-Man, the mutants of the Earth plane 616. Are we in 616 right now?
yeah,
I
But
hope they don't introduce it that way.
what you
well,
can do though, Poe, is you can take that New Mutants movie and you can kick it out the fucking window because
So
um
you don't know.
they didn't even really want to bring that movie out, bro.
nope,
Like
they
that's
did
why it
not.
took so long to come out. They did not want to put out. They knew it was trash. They knew it was
But
trash.
but but you see, Terrence knows his history, and he was saying that the way they was treated and everything, they came out, they became a team. And Professor Xavier, he gathered them together and
No,
brought
no,
them up.
I was only speaking on like the difference in tone in writing is specifically like in the Fox properties, like, and then I focused on The Gifted in terms of, you know, you really felt bad for the mutants because of the way the humans were treating them. So once
Mhm.
Kevin Feige brings the X-Men into the MCU, I want to see how far they're going to go with how the humans are going to treat them. Like, what kind of intensity are we going to have? Is there going to be more jokes than normal? Or, like, because with the X-Men, with the stuff they go through and how certain things are based on the civil rights movement, there's a lot of sadness that's there. And if you got the whole, you know, we're going to make a joke after every intense scene, it's going to take away from it. So while I think that the X-Men movie is going to be entertaining and Wolverine's going to have his mask and it's going to look dope and all that kind of stuff, I just want to know what the dialogue and the story is going to be.
You know what's funny though? If they really wanted to, they could do an X-Men universe just on its own. Like
Yeah,
they don't even need to bring it into the MCU. They could just
right.
do a whole
Thank you.
X-Men universe if
Thank
they
you.
wanted to. They could
Yeah.
do um a solo movie for Storm, solo movie for
Mm.
Cyclops, solo movie for Wolverine,
Yep, yep,
solo movie for Professor X. You know what I mean? If they want to do villain, do a solo movie for Magneto, and then have
yep.
them all come together in a movie. They could do so much with them, man. It's crazy.
And they
I just
have
hope they
Disney
build up.
movie. They
I
have
hope they.
Disney money behind them. They can
Yeah,
do it.
yeah, absolutely. I just
Oh,
hope they build
yeah,
up
oh
to a
yeah.
X-Men versus Avengers movie.
You know
Really?
what? You
Really?
know what? Like, it's interesting because they could do that. They could do the X-Men thing, right? But Kevin Feige is, I mean, he's so consistent with the MCU, right? That he wants to continue to build on that foundation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm like, I don't have a problem with that. That's cool. Like, you just kind of keep doing stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, because I like, he's never said, like, you know what, in 2028 that will be the final one. It's like, I'm like, am I even gonna be able to get to that? Like, I'm like, what if I don't like wake up tomorrow and then there's like another announcement for like 50 movies? I'm like, man,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah, they could
like,
do movies for like 50 years, bro.
right, right. I'm like,
You
man,
know,
these
give us two,
motherfuckers,
three
like,
movies a year. They could do it for like 50 years, bro.
I'm
Trust
gonna
me.
tell, I'm gonna tell Kevin Feige, like, look, I didn't been on this planet for 125 years. I need you to make the last MCU movie. But Terrence, I have plans for another 20. I'm like, that's the problem, Mr. Feige. I want to see the end. He's like, but,
Yeah, I would be. I the way I look at it, I probably won't see the end, bro. You know what I mean? I probably won't see the end of it. I could be like 80 years old and it's still going on.
I
You
know,
know?
right? Like fucking Avengers 10 and then of course, like, you're gonna be just on the deathbed, and then it's just an announcement: Avengers versus X-Men versus Fantastic Four.
Right.
Anzo and Terrence, at 80 years old, y'all would still be looking the same, be up and giddy as the same. Y'all are great people, man. We will all still be enjoying this, having this conversation
I would like to
Thank
hope
you.
so, but I can tell you
30
this: I
years
don't
from
know.
now.
I don't know if I'm gonna be 80 years and on YouTube, 80 years old
Because
and on YouTube, though, bro. I'm sorry, I don't know
because
about that
it's like, and plus, I don't even know if the platform is gonna be around that long. That'd be
one.
crazy as hell.
For real, for
I
real.
hope so because it keeps a good community like you all. And I have
Great.
one more question for Mr. Terrence because he raised my interest in something that I don't think that's ever possible with Marvel. You
Which
ready?
I'm
is
listening.
The
I'm
Dark
listening.
Event. You said something about the Dark Avengers.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think that's ever possible with Disney. They're gonna let that happen.
You know what? The setup for it is there. What I noticed with the Falcon and Winter Soldier, there were a couple things that they set up. The number one, they set up the Thunderbolts because Baron Zemo is the one that started that. That's there, and then
Correct.
also with who am I thinking of? Don Walker. You know what I'm saying? Like the U.S. agent. You know that's there too with the
Correct.
Dark Avengers.
Yeah.
So and then because it's like I heard that Yelena Belova, the one that's in Black Widow, the one that's like kind of Natasha's sister, just in the sense that they trained in the Red Room together. So there's that closeness. So I heard that she was supposed to appear to get Baron Zemo, but then there's like I heard that Kevin Feige saved that for like a mid-credit scene at the end of Black Widow, and I was like, really? Because I'm just like that kind of goes into the whole Thunderbolts thing, but it's like I heard that they switched the order around because they didn't want the audience to be introduced to Yelena in that way first before having seen her with Natasha and that journey that entails. So I
How
don't
does that connect with the
um
Dark Avengers and
hold
what
on.
they
Yes,
because
Paul, we are talking some MCU.
because
Everything that
because like
is making come
the Thunder
unified. Go
because
ahead.
like the
Yes, Terrence is. He knows everything. That's why I'm interested in what he got to say about the MCU and the Dark Avengers. I don't see it happening. Mad Mama's Bear. I really
look,
don't.
I don't know for sure, but it's like the setup is there, right? You know, Kevin Feige is gonna do what he's gonna do, but the setup for the Thunderbolts and the Dark Avengers is there. They have like a lot of the key players, and you know Thunderbolt Ross. We're gonna see him in Black Widow. It's all there. It's just a matter of which one does Kevin Feige want to focus on.
Don't get me
You know,
wrong. I want to see it. I just don't see it happening.
now
Maybe it can happen through the Fantastic Four and their storyline, bringing in
the,
Silver Surfer and all of that with Galactus, and
the
bringing in
only
Dark.
the
Okay,
only big variable that's missing is Norman Osborn, and that's like a okay, like you know the whole Sony thing. Because I
that's
don't know if they're
Spider
going
Man.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Norman Osborn is a big deal. So like Kevin Feige, I guess would have to be like, hey man, you know Norman Osborn and you know, Dark Avengers and stuff like. Uh, so like, yeah, you know what? Nah, we gonna use Norman Osborn in like 4 of our movies, and then it's gonna be like, well, fuck,
The
like,
Avengers, the name itself has brought them billions and billions of dollars out of the
yeah,
4 films they came out with.
yeah,
You see, the only problem is now, like we're talking about all these movies, right? And we're talking about all these things, but you got to remember, there's no Iron Man anymore. There's no Captain America anymore.
No, don't say
You know
there's
what I
no
mean?
Iron Man.
No, there's no Iron Man
You got
anymore.
Iron Heart. You got Iron Lad.
You
wow,
see,
that is not.
Right, right, right.
we have them, and those are who they're probably going to have to use if they go further down the line. You know what I mean?
Nobody
Yeah,
can place
Unless
RDJ. Yeah, I know.
so. I don't know. I mean, there's storylines they can do and they can um adapt from the comics, but you got to remember with that happening now, a lot of the adaptations that they do are probably going to be a lot different than what we know from the
yep,
comics. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
That's a great point, Anzo. It's kind of like
That is a great point.
because check this out. There's already a difference, right? Like you look at Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel.
Hmm.
Um, it's interesting because the costume that she wears, she was supposed to get that design from Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers doesn't have that costume, right? So
Hmm.
there's that change there, and also Kamala when she left her house, and then the family was like trying to keep her from going to some kind of event that she wanted to go to, and then when she went to this event, there was a release of a Terrigen Mist bomb, and then she became an Inhuman, and then she was able to I think they call it embigging, like where you get big and stretch your limbs and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But then I heard that in the show, she has like this kind of gauntlet that gives her like, big hands and she can emit these blasts and stuff. So I'm like, well, that's different, and she's not an Inhuman. So you get changes like that because if you remove that, then Kevin Feige doesn't really have to entertain the Inhumans in the same way because he hasn't, right? Because we saw that. Oh my God, that terrible Inhuman show. That
Trash.
oh my God, like Kevin Feige, like nope, didn't have nothing to do with that. Inhumans who? Nah, we ain't doing them. We doing the X-Men. Then somebody like, but what about like Black Bolt and stuff? Like they like, nah, Black who? We're not doing them. No, we got Charles Xavier. We're good. What about
Because
the
Inhumans was supposed to be a movie, right? Like when
right,
it was
right,
first announced, it was supposed to be a movie. And then they
yeah,
said, you know what, they're gonna do it as a series. And what they basically did was they erased that and Agents of Shield from the
hmm
MCU. Like the
yeah,
Agents of Shield
it,
was no longer part of the
With
MCU.
the Inhumans thing, how do y'all feel about the Marvel What If animated series? And that's the last thing that Chadwick Boseman, I think,
I
recorded.
am dying for that series, man.
Seriously, me,
yeah.
I'm waiting on it. But I think
Um,
I wish they would have did it live action versus animated. But I respected what they did because they tried something different. They wasn't afraid to try something different, and you know it's going to be great regardless.
right, because well, in the case of with the exception of a couple of animation in Marvel, that's not their area of expertise. But because this is under Kevin Feige, it will be different from most of the Marvel animation. And I do think that the majority of it, if not all of it, depending on what they do, is going to be pretty damn good. Just because Kevin
Mhm.
Feige is going to make sure. So there's an interest there because the Marvel one-shot comics and what ifs and stuff like those have, for the most part, have been pretty cool. So I like
Mhm.
that um, they're incorporating that into this animation because I remember in the beginning when I was buying the MCU movies when they were being released to Blu-ray. I get Iron Man and Incredible Hulk and all these other ones, and on quite a few of them, you had these like one-shot things where it was like 8 to 10 minutes. Some stuff with Coulson, and then the stuff where the real Mandarin was coming and stuff like that. And then they kind of fell off after so many films. They weren't really doing the one shots as much. So I like that there it's
Mhm.
going to be a series focused on that. It should be pretty interesting.
I used to like the one shots. And
Yeah.
I used to like the comics too, like the What If comics
Mhm.
growing up. I used to really enjoy them. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I could deal with this series. You know what I mean? I seen some little trailer preview of it, and I'm like, yeah, it looks good. It
Yeah,
shows
something
zombie Captain
different.
America and shit.
Something different. It brings like spice to the whole pot. Like
Hmm.
gumbo. It brings spice. It's something different that nobody used to, but you got people that you trust that have been doing a lot of great things for the Marvel and community.
Hmm.
And I'm looking very forward to it.
You,
Yeah, the
you,
animation looks good and everything. So
I really want to. I mean, this might be a little ways off because you have to get through the first film and everything. But I would love if I think give it like 10 to 15 minutes if you can have Shang-Chi teaching Spider-Man martial arts. Like I feel like
Hold
that.
on. What now? What?
Yeah, but in the comics, Shang-Chi taught Spider-Man martial arts.
Spider-Man is
Like,
way faster than him.
oh yeah, you think that, but my boy Shang-Chi was able to knock his ass out the air with a sidekick.
Really?
Yes, really. Like, so because think of it this way, right? Like
I'm a
all
big
of
Spider-Man
Spider-Man,
fan.
I know, but there's a lot of comics in history and stuff. But think of it this way: his
And
villains.
Terrence, I've read every single comic
Yeah,
ever made, bro.
seriously. Like I didn't know that, dude. You taught me something new, for real. You
Oh
actually
no,
taught me something new.
no, it's cool because Spider-Man's villains, they hit him, they make contact, and Shang-Chi in Marvel Comics is called the Master of Kung Fu. Like him and Danny Rand Iron Fist are the best martial artists, bar none. I'm not saying they're the most powerful, but when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, they're in their
Okay.
own league. So
So not Blade, not
no, Blade is no, like, please don't
Craven.
misunderstand me, right? Like when I say they're the best, they are, but
Okay.
there are other good fighters as well. Blade being one of them, Wolverine being one of them. Like
Craven.
this,
Craven.
yeah, Craven's good too. Like there's other good fighters, right? But they're just at the top, right? So, because what happened was, uh, you had Shang-Chi interact with Spider-Man, and he told him, I can teach you martial arts. I can teach you to be better because you have your spider sense, but your hand-to-hand combat is not what it should be. If
Oh
you
God.
couple what I can teach you with your spider sense, you're going to be amazing. Now it would be like, instead of you having to rely on that, you would also be able to rely on your martial arts instincts. Just in the off chance that your spider sense may fail you at some point. So you had Spider-Man take his mask and he kind of put it like halfway on his face, and he had like a little red band in the back. And
Yeah.
Shang-Chi taught him martial arts. And then from there, Spider-Man ended up calling it the Way of the Spider. That's his martial arts form.
Dude, you're gonna make me go back and read that. Like I missed that. That's amazing, dude. Oh God.
It's one of those things too, because he also has he has an arsenal of weapons, and one of them is like called the Aura Mazda blade, and this blade is able to kill people like Deadpool and Wolverine. So think of that as like their kryptonite. That's something where you chop the head off, you stab them in the heart with that. They're not coming back from that. But
Mhm.
like the character is very interesting because a lot of humans before the trailer and stuff, they weren't really aware of them like that. And the ones that were, they kind of saw them here and there. Like, you got the Heroes for Hire comics and stuff, and working with Danny Rand and Luke Cage. A lot of them view him as a background character, but he's so much more than that. Even though he's been sidekicks to characters, he's been part of the Avengers, but he really just deserves a lot of credit. And I feel like this movie is going to help individuals understand that with the introduction of the East into the MCU, you will be introduced to a new wave of fighting and a new wave of culture in relation to everything Marvel.
That's
So
awesome, man.
yeah, I'm very much into martial arts. So seeing Shang-Chi and Iron Fist and all that, it's amazing to me. Unfortunately, Iron Fist was dealt some bad hands and stuff, but hopefully, when he's reintroduced into MCU proper, Kevin Feige can make him more like the comics. And I think that the audience, if they see Shang-Chi and Iron Fist fighting next to each other against someone else, I'm like, you're not gonna find a better fight scene in the MCU. Like that would just be something where you would, like, when you buy the movie or if you pull up the scene online, it should be to the equivalent that you would want to watch that scene over and over and go, what the fuck did they just do right there? Hold up, how did he kick him? Like, wasn't that chopped in the throat? Like, it's gonna be like that.
What about Luke Cage? Isn't he a good fighter too? Hand-to-hand combat.
He's pretty good. Like, he becomes better when being around Danny Rand. You know what I'm saying? Because Danny Rand, I mean, that's the immortal Iron Fist. So he does teach him some stuff. Like, but Luke Cage, though, I feel like if you put him next to Shang-Chi and Iron Fist, it doesn't work. But his, ability to be immune to a lot of virtues of attacks, assuming that you don't go for his insides and his direct organ kind of shots, he can take a lot of damage. So it can take a minute for individuals like Shang-Chi and Iron Fist to hurt him. But Iron Fist, because of his ability to light up his whole torso and the chi and the fire, he can hurt him quicker than say like a Shang-Chi because of that. But at the same time, though, you can have Shang-Chi evading Luke Cage to where I'm like, you shouldn't even be able to touch him. He could sweep the legs and stuff like that. He could put Luke Cage in a position to where he's frustrated because no matter how invulnerable you are and no matter how much strength you have, if you are unable to connect with your opponent on a consistent basis, it's almost like it doesn't matter. So like, for example, for me, I was always like a smaller guy. Like that's just my genetics. Like I had to like work out to get bigger. But like my opponents, most of the time, they were always taller. They were always like taller and heavier than me, right? So I had to learn how to deal with big opponents. This is the same thing for when you go into comic book characters, except that it may not be just the size. It could also be like a power thing that they have to get used to. If the person has enhanced strength, you have to figure out how to get around that. Shang-Chi and Iron Fist know how to do that. So if it takes them like, let's say 5 to 10 hits to dispatch their opponent, and it takes their opponent 1 or 2 hits, they can deliver those 5 to 10 hits faster than that person could do the 1 or 2 strikes. So that's what makes the difference in the combat. It's like, yeah, you could probably knock this person out with 1 or 2 hits, but can you touch him? Because if you can't touch him, that ain't gonna matter.
So let me first say this. Matt said, and I believe Terrence has downloaded every comic to his Matrix.
I agree.
100%.
I agree.
I can see Terrence sitting in that chair, like, "Oh yeah, give me another one. Give me another one. What? Spider-Man issue 328? Yeah, give me that one. Give me that one."
I mean, he know his shit. So yeah.
Oh my God,
it's like because it's one of those things too. Because that's funny. Like because I'm picturing when they gave Neo like the martial arts training, and he's like, "Hell yeah, give me some more," and it was like, man, 8 hours later, he's still a machine.
Yeah, he was like, "I know kung fu."
Show me.
And the next one is from Caleb, Superman versus Thor comics. Who's winning?
Oh, that's a good fight. But now here's what you got to focus on, right?
Does
like
Thor have an Odin force or not?
That's a good question because like if you look at just standard Thor, right? The thing that's going to help him last a while in the fight is because of the magic of Mjolnir. And, Superman, he has a weakness to magic. The misconception is that with magic, he automatically loses. This is false. It depends on what's being coupled with the magic. Like if you get someone like, say, that's using magic and they're on a similar strength level or stronger, then it becomes a problem. The magic has to be coupled with a crazy ass amount of strength. And Thor is crazy physically powerful. But the difference is that when you have your standard Thor, his strength is already at a base level. It's already peaked out, him being Thor. The problem with Superman is that there are too many underlining variables, which is he just tends to do shit. Like he doesn't like necessarily like, oh, I'm gonna get stronger. It's like he just has to do it, and it just always seems based on him holding back most of the time is how the character operates because of his being raised by the Kents and, all life is precious. Like, he would rather reason with you
I agree.
before outright just killing you.
Yep, that's the
So,
way he was brought up on Earth. Yep.
exactly. So, whenever I see him lose in the comics, which he has been defeated before, because, like, I get humans go, oh, what about when he lost here? What about when he lost there? I'm like, no one said that the character is unbeatable. But the stories that he is in where he is defeated, there's always a reason for it. And usually my question is, what didn't he do in the fight that led to him getting defeated? And most of the time, it's him holding back, him taking too long, and then the character is already in a position to where they're either willing to kill him or they figure out how to knock him out or whatever the case may be, depending on what we're talking about. So I feel like if Thor and Superman are already in a position where Thor's like, I'm going to kill him, nothing else, and Superman is thinking the same thing, then now the scenario is different. It's very different if you're telling me Superman is willing and ready to immediately kill his opponent. No BS, no hesitation, pure death. That's very different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Thor can definitely beat him, but at the same time, Superman can too as well, as long as Superman is going to kill him in this scenario.
What about with?
So if you're gonna say that, then you have to say the same thing with Hulk. Then.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, like, because with Hulk, right? Like, you have things where this is like, he says he's the strongest there is and stuff, and the longer he fights, he gets stronger and stuff. With Hulk is interesting because whenever I see him fight, it always depends on who he's fighting and how he decides to go about battling that person. Like, if it's just going to be the Hulk smash, like he's trying to get rid of him as quickly as possible, or if he just like smack and he just kind of assesses it. Okay, another smack. Because sometimes Hulk be playing around and shit. Like, he has these moments where he be smiling at his opponents and stuff. I'm like, is that a you gonna kill him smile, or you just gonna play with him little smile? Hulk be having fun sometime when he be doing.
I'm glad you bring that up because a lot of people think Hulk is just some bit brawny, out of his mind world guy, but he's actually know what the fuck he's doing when he's hulking out.
Yeah, there's so many different interpretations of Hulk. It's fucking crazy. Like, it just.
Yeah, I agree. Deathstroke versus Captain America, since they're both super soldiers.
Yeah. I mean, that can go either way. I mean, Captain America has many decades of experience, but Deathstroke, you're talking about someone that rolls around with a lot of powerful DC characters, and he doesn't die. Like, he hangs in there and fends them off, and so I'm like, his ability to survive is going to be a factor. He also has some healing capabilities. You know what I mean? So whatever experience or damage that Cap does to Deathstroke, I'm like, well, he could just heal and figure out a way to either impale him through the heart or decapitate him. So, like, if anything, you're going to get like a long fight before I can see Deathstroke winning in the end. But it would, like, I feel like the shield is going to, be blocking a lot of stuff. He's going to throw it at him and smack him around and shit. And Slade is going to have to figure out how to get around the shield. And then once that happens, he'll probably be a little surprised with how well Captain America can fight, and then he has to try to get around that. So you'll get a hell of a fight, is what's going to happen.
They both can heal real fast. Captain America can't even get drunk because that's how much his blood cells keep out the alcohol in his blood. They established that in the MCU.
Steve can heal fast, but like, if you shoot him a few times, he'll die. That happened in the comics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, Slade is more extreme with his healing. Now, you can definitely take him out, like, if you have a lot of power, if you, like, vaporize them or some shit, but, like, if you're just talking about, like, hand-to-hand combat, some bones or something is shattered, Deathstroke is going to heal, as to where Steve is going to take him a minute, and it's that little period of how long it takes is what's going to make the difference when you're talking about just a straight-up fight. So, like, these variables are very interesting. But you would get the whole, okay, there's guns. Deathstroke's using his guns, using a sword, and it would be crazy to see because I can picture Cap, flipping around with the shield and blocking the bullets and shit. It will look dope to see that. It'd be a spectacle for sure.
Yeah, it would be fire. Caleb said, "Why do you think they haven't announced Avengers 5 yet? Do you think they're waiting until Phase 5?" Well, we're definitely not getting an Avengers 5 in Phase 4. I think it was already confirmed that we're not getting an Avengers movie. So, yeah, they're probably going to do it at the end of Phase 5.
And then I
Because
remember, wait, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because like a lot of the Avengers are gone. So they're going to have to like build a new team. You know what I mean? We're going to have all new Avengers. We're probably going to have Falcon in there as an Avenger because he's getting his own movie. So that's good. We'll probably have Carol Danvers. We'll probably have Monica Rambeau. I don't even know anymore. I'm just like, it's gonna be a different Avengers, guys. Trust me.
Man, as long as she ain't the leader, because it should be because it seems like they're setting up the young Avengers, right? And they had I think his name is Elijah Bradley, Isaiah Bradley's grandson, and he gets his powers through a transfusion in the comics. But there's also they have what they call MGH, which is mutant growth hormone. And this is usually to enhance the powers of mutants, but there also is what they call the Marvel steroids to enhance or awaken something that is within the person. So that's also connected to the character in some way. So he is the leader of the Young Avengers for a while. So he was introduced in the Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I don't know if they're going to do something with him or if they're going to have someone else be the leader at first and then he takes over. But he's there. So that, I feel like they're probably going to do something with him. And he kind of has a chip on his shoulder. So, like, that's a character where they can write him like he has to prove something. And there's different things you could do. And, like, with the Marvels, which was, I guess, supposed to be Captain Marvel 2, but now I guess that's going to be, Carol Danvers and Kamala Khan. I'll tell you what, Nzo, I'm not a fan of Kamala Khan. I like her comic books to me. I think that her and Monica Rambeau as characters, I think they're better than Carol Danvers, 100%. Like I thought the movie Captain Marvel was gonna change my mind. Like, you know what? I saw the trailer and I was actually excited, and I thought Kevin was gonna make me like Carol Danvers. And then they had all this other stuff in the movie that I thought they were gonna do that they didn't do. So I'm like, look, Kamala Khan's show, Ms. Marvel's, is gonna come out, and I'm probably gonna like it in a way that I didn't care for her comics, and it's just I'm happy for those that like her, I'm saying, the Pakistani character and all that, right? Like that's cool. I'm happy for them. I hope they do her justice. And to me, she's kind of always been like an adorable character anyway. It's like it's hard for you to hate her, but it's like you can be indifferent if the material doesn't take. Like, So I mean, are you guys excited about Miss Marvel? Or are you like,
I don't really know much about the comics or anything. Not really. Of course, I'll watch it when it happens and when it comes off. But do I really care about it? Not really.
So, like, you feel like, is there a chance that the show could win you over, or you feel like unlikely that it will win you over in that way?
I don't know. It has to be the movie. Like, if the movie's good, I'll admit it 100%. I'll be like, yeah, this movie was fire. You know what I mean? So, we'll see. I don't. I think it probably was one of the least movies that I'm looking forward to. That one, Love and Thunder. Not really looking forward to that one either. Just
man. You know that I know they call her the mighty Thor, but I just call her female Thor. Like, just the whole Jane Foster thing, and her getting the powers of Thor and it fighting off the cancer, but then when the powers go away, then the cancer starts fucking her up again. I never gravitated towards those comic books either. I was just like, can we get back to either Thor or Chris Masterson's Thor? Something, because I felt like in the movie, right? I could very well end up liking Jane Foster's Thor, because you know me, Anzo, I like badass women. If the characters are written in a way that I feel are appropriate and not anything that's just like the all men are bad kind of, right? Yeah, so I love to see strong, powerful women. So like, if they present her in a way that's awesome, then I'm gonna cheer for her. I'm like, cool, like female Thor is amazing. But regardless of how awesome she could be, I don't think I'm ever gonna be to the point to where I care about her as much as Thor. So
I agree. I definitely agree. I'm not looking forward towards it. The Blade is what I'm looking forward to. I just hope that they make it R-rated.
Yeah, I think that there was a marketing strategy that they try to pull over people at the moment, but I don't think it's gonna be big as everybody think it's gonna be. Even with the and with the new Miss Marvel movie that you mentioned, Terrence, earlier, I'm gonna treat it like Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't even know who the hell they were, but when they came out,
neither did I.
It blew my mind, and I liked it. So
yeah,
it's great casting, great writing, great directing. It blew my mind.
Right. I mean, there's so many ways that Miss Marvel can go, because I mean, she's a fan of the Avengers. Unfortunately, she loves Carol Danvers. I'm like, man, I'd be like, really, Kamala, like you. So you don't think Thor or Hulk is cooler? No, Carol. Okay.
Well,
like,
from WandaVision, Monica Rambeau and Captain Marvel are probably gonna have some issues for a minute.
Good. I hope she whoops her ass for what they did to that character in her movie. Like, I hope
No, you said good. Why good, man?
I wouldn't mind seeing Monica Rambeau kick her ass either.
Yo, I feel like I want to see Monica Rambeau beat up Carol Danvers, right? And then let's say, Carol Danvers, she ends up winning the fight or whatever. And I would love, in the after credit scene, we just see Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel flying around. Nobody can touch her. She's invincible. And I want to see Rogue just come out of nowhere and take her fucking powers. Like, I want to see some stuff like that. That'd be so cool to be.
Interesting.
You know what I would see? Since you said that, I would like to see them fight, and I would like to see the Silver Surfer come up and beat both of their ass. How about that?
Okay, check this out. Now, this is something that's interesting, because with Silver Surfer, I hope they get Eternals right. God damn it. So, with Icarus, who's one of the Eternals, because I can't recognize most of the damn characters, unfortunately. It's hurt my soul. Like, Angelina Jolie and the Indian comedian will probably have the best characters in the movie. Because at least Angelina Jolie's character, Thena, she looks just like her from the comics, and the weapons made out of cosmic energy and stuff like that. But
don't forget about Cersei. Cersei, or whatever her name is.
Oh my god, like these damn characters. Like, but anyway, the damn Eternals better get it right. So Icarus, this guy is so powerful that he was able to not only beat up Silver Surfer, but Apocalypse as well. So that's why I'm saying it's very important that these Eternals are done properly, because there is so much there with the history and all that shit. And Ajax is now Selma Hayek, which is weird. Like, I love me some Selma Hayek, but it's one of those things. You remember how I said, Anzo, about how I like to recognize characters at the very least? I'm sitting there going, who And then Sprite is now who's who's a guy in the comics is now a little girl, and I was like, there's no way that I would have been able to guess that that little girl was Sprite, like until I heard her name. So that's the kind of stuff where I'm like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, it's just kind of throwing me off. I'm like, yeah, like I'm not saying it's got to be 100%, but damn, like you didn't, and then you didn't change them so much. It's like I'm going in there confused, and I have information about these characters, which is weird because in a way I can argue that I feel slightly alienated because I can't recognize the characters most of the time.
Yeah. And trust me, I don't know much about Eternals anyway, so I'm just going into it with a clean slate, and
Right.
we'll see. Because I'm like Poe, I'm like, I'll treat it like I did Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean? I'll treat it like that. I don't know any more thing about it. I'll go in to see it, and if it's good, it's good, and if it's not, then well,
Anzo,
you know,
Right.
I'm gonna tell
yeah.
you this, brother. I heard Eternals is supposed to be epic. The shots, the visuals, it's supposed to be epic.
Okay. So I'm looking at it right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had sent this to a friend, right? So Icarus, like the casting for him, that looks okay. Ajax is now Selma Hayek. My boy Makari is now a black female. And Phaetos is a black dude. Like I feel like that's like okay because he
Yeah,
has like
yeah.
darker
He's that
skin.
black guy that played in King Kong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then you have Gilgamesh, like that's alright. And then you have Kamal Nanjiani, who is Gingo, who's supposed to be a Japanese samurai, but for some reason now he is a Bollywood movie star for no reason. I'm like, okay. And then you have Thena, and I definitely believe that she's gonna be one of the best characters in the movie, played by Angelina Jolie. And then you have Sprite, who I was talking about, is now a little girl. And when you see these characters in their costumes, I'm like, they kind of look inhuman-ish, like kind of bland and shit.
Mm-hmm.
At least to me, like they don't look like Eternals where they would stick out. They kind of their costumes blend with a lot of the costumes in the MCU, if that makes any
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
completely understand.
like, okay, so right now, from what you know, Anzo, is there any, I guess, like Eternal member that you like looking forward to more than the rest, or you feel like you're not
I
really?
know jack shit about them, bro. I know jack shit about them. So
I'm
we'll
looking
see.
forward to Gilgamesh and Icarus and Angelina Jolie character.
I look. I mean, I could watch the movie and go, man, like they did the stuff I wanted them to do. And if that's the case, right, then I go,
Mm-hmm.
why? Okay, if you was gonna do all this stuff plus extra, then why all these changes if you were just gonna do this anyway? It's kind of like it's throwing me off, right? It's like you going in there, you got your few little concerns, only to find out that it meant nothing about nothing because they just basically did the same thing except this thing to throw me off because of what, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But don't we all trust Kevin Feige? Don't the chat trust Kevin Feige?
We do, but that goes back to what I said earlier. Like, I don't always agree with everything that he does.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, um, it's kind of like with the Hulk, right? That's definitely something that a lot of
Yeah,
humans did not appreciate.
I think that was more the Russo brothers that had a spin on that versus Kevin Feige.
Well, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the Kevin Feige is the overseer. Like, if he'd have been like, no, then it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
And I feel like because if I were there, right, and I had, I still would want Thanos to whoop Hulk, but then it would be like in the next film, I would have had them go back and forth just to, please the fans, and then so like, what would I like the difference being the first fight? It would have been dominant, and the people are like, no, fuck that. No, you you got to serve him up the next time or a longer fight, I'd be like, that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to get a longer fight. But then by that point, he got all the stones and stuff. Like, it's going to be one of those things where, I'd make it satisfying for the whole fans, but they have to understand that there's a power, there's a struggle here, and why he's such a threat. But at the same time, there's respect put on the whole in terms of giving him another shot in a different kind of scenario. You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely.
You basically had a deviant god. Celestial? Is he a celestial or eternal?
He's a deviant.
He's an
eternal. But here's the thing about him, right? Thanos is an eternal, but there was something that happened when he was born, and it's like, because with the Eternals, they're very beautiful, right? Say you got a male Eternal, all the females would be trying to fuck him and suck his dick and stuff. And then if you have like a female Eternal, all the dudes would want to dick her down. Like, that's how great they're supposed to look.
Yep.
But then the deviants, though, they're like these ugly, vomit-inducing kind of creatures where you're like, damn, what? Man, you must be a villain because you look so bad. I'm only assuming. I couldn't write it.
But Terrence, does that make him a half god or half? I mean, is he?
Some like I was saying, like something happened when he was born to where it's like this condition where even though they're an eternal, there's like something that's messing up in their genes and it makes them look like a deviant. You know, like how Thanos is purple and his chin is all strange and shit.
Oh, yeah.
That has to do with some shit that was going on when he was born.
So that's why that warning, guys. Well, 8 minutes now. We're gonna close it up when it gets to the
okay, yeah, no problem. That's
4:30.
Yeah, no problem, Monzo. Yeah, no, that's just the gist of it, though, Poe. Like, that's why that is. Now, I don't know if they're gonna explain all that because they could just leave it at like, Thanos is an eternal, and then where's that fucking place? Titan or whatever.
You do know there's a rumor that young Thanos is supposed to appear in the Eternals movie. Since we're talking about it.
Yeah, I heard that, and it would make sense, and it would also, I think it would surprise most, because again, most humans are not really following all the intimate details. They're just like, oh, Eternals, oh, okay, I saw a trailer, and that's pretty much as far as it'll go. So that can act as a surprise, and it will also help the audience understand why Thanos was so fucking powerful too. Like, his genetics is insane. On top of the shit that he's learned and the ways of magic and stuff, because he does learn some magic later on, but like his character is a legitimate threat. But at the same time, they gotta establish.
That would be great because he said something about Doctor Strange about a wizard. He called him a wizard, and he recognized that.
Yeah,
he knows magic. Yeah,
right.
Dude, it's beautiful. Seriously,
like when someone of that is of a powerful nature, like a Strange or anyone that you could think of, whenever they recognize something, that is their way of letting you know that this person is a damn threat. This is a problem. For them to acknowledge it like that, because otherwise it just would have been like a smack, smack, smack. It don't matter, and you're done. So yeah, that was a problem. So I don't know if they're gonna do stuff like the Beyonder and the Living Tribunal and all that other stuff. I don't know if they're gonna do all that, but
you'll see the Living Tribunal in Loki series. I guarantee it.
Okay, if I see that's damn, that's a big deal. Are you sure? You really think they're gonna?
Yes, you will. The three. We haven't even got to the in the Guardians of the Galaxy when they had what his name that passed away over the comets. I can't think of his name. He passed away.
Hondo?
No.
You're not talking about Stan Lee, are you?
Stan Lee, yes, and he was with the Watchers. They haven't gotten to that yet. The Watchers is supposed to be a big deal, and he was with the Watchers in the Guardians of the Galaxy when they was jumping from quadrant to quadrant.
The only thing with the Watchers is they're technically pretty powerful, but like their name states, they just tend to watch. Like they don't really
Mm-hmm.
intervene that much. There was
They will when they have to.
well, no, they're not supposed to though. That's against the rules. They're just supposed to watch. Like there was one of them that ended up intervening, and like this motherfucker was banished and shit. Like he wasn't even recognized by
Oh,
the
I
other
didn't read that.
watchers.
Oh
So
shit.
like what it is that you'll have them. I think they might show another one, and maybe they will show that one that intervenes. But the problem is, it's just like okay, if that happens, what would be the context, and then what
Yeah.
would that mean for like the one above all or something? Because he's only made a couple of appearances in Marvel comic books, the one above all, you know, and because he's too powerful to use, and you know I don't know how or why or where or when they're gonna use him, but the Beyonder, you know, this whole like Secret Wars thing. I'm just like that'd be
Mm-hmm.
crazy as hell to just gather up the different villains and heroes and put them in this
Oh yeah.
fabricated world and force them to fight.
Oh yeah.
Also, this motherfucker can understand the human condition. The Beyonder's an asshole. Like Anzo, like that dude's an
Mm-hmm.
asshole. He's like, you know what, Anzo? I want you and Terrence and Charles Xavier and all these people to fight. Why? I'm trying to understand the human condition and why everyone does what they do. I'm like,
Yep.
so you just be kidnapping people and forcing them to kill? Really? Like, don't worry, there'll be a reward. I'm like, no, you don't get to
No,
smile. I'm like, all right, so we need to all work together to fuck him up. And then the scene transition is you realize that if he was
Secret
able to
Wars
gather
was one of
you
my
all,
Secret Wars was one of my favorite comic books, so I would like to see them do that. I would
yeah.
also like them to see them do Age of Apocalypse, man. That was like
Oh,
my
that
favorite.
would be,
I wish
yeah.
they would do that, you
I
know.
don't
Oh
know Age
But
of
man.
Apocalypse. I don't know that
oh,
series.
you don't know Age of
I know
Apocalypse?
Secret
Oh,
Wars, but not Age. But Secret. Hold on. Since you brought up Secret Wars, Anzo, that would be a great thing to bring up mutants. But Age of Apocalypse, I don't know that one.
because like with well, I mean, like I don't think he would wait that long to do the mutants, but because you know that's kind of a ways away. Like I think he
No,
would have
you
set
would
them up first.
to do Age of Apocalypse. You would have to have mutants
Yeah,
already,
exactly.
So
right?
Secret Wars will have to come first.
Yes,
I
yes,
Yeah,
it
know.
would.
I know that.
and the
Yeah.
But you
mutants would
need
have to
mutants
come
for
before
Secret
that
Wars
too.
too. Yeah, yeah. You need
Yeah,
mutants for Secret War too.
yeah,
You know,
I know. Yeah.
mutants.
Yep.
They
That's
played a
why.
big part in that.
That's why I said it will be a great way to for Kevin Feige, Disney, and Marvel to bring all that in. And I think Kevin Feige still has a boss, and I don't know his boss name. He still
it was
answers.
it was um it was Bob Iger. I think it still is because I know he's gonna like be leaving in a few months or something like that. Somebody's supposed to be
Yeah, yeah.
taking his
Bob Barker
place.
is leaving.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
Okay.
only boss Kevin Feige has is Disney, basically.
right,
You know what I mean?
right.
I mean, they
But
got trillions of dollars, so yeah.
mm,
Well, billions.
Yeah,
Terrence Terrence kind of just pissed me off though.
What?
what?
Well, he made me realize that I'm probably gonna die
No.
before
No.
before like Marvel finishes their MCU.
Hey, chat. Can we get a no in here? Just say hashtag no for
Uh,
Unzo.
some
Hashtag no.
geeky guy sent another $5. Thank you, some geeky guy. Do you guys think that the MCU could use the multiverse in No Way Home as a way to bring the Fox X-Men into the MCU? Well, to be honest with you, from what I'm hearing, is that we're supposed to get some multiverse stuff in No Way Home, right?
Hmm.
Because the other Spider-Mans are supposed to be in it. Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield are supposed to be in it. So the only way to do that is through some multiverse stuff. It's possible. Like I said, the easiest way to bring mutants into this universe is through multiverse. That's what I think. So,
Right. Because Kevin Feige, for the most part, um, he likes to keep things simple.
hmm
So that would be an easy way to do it. And if he doesn't do that, then I guess there are more complex ways. But I'm thinking you know, with the Spider-Man stuff, it might be just focused on the Spider-Man women by and large, and then the whole Madam Web thing and her interaction with the different, Spider-Man women. And then they said they were going to do a Madam Web movie, so that could lead into her thing. So I think it's probably going to focus primarily on that. So individuals that really love Spider-Man, there's going to be like a trillion Easter eggs in that movie, I'm sure.
Yes, it will.
And then maybe towards the end of the movie, or maybe something like that, they'll introduce something else. Because whatever teaser and then whatever 2 or 3 trailers we're going to get, keep this in mind, no matter what they show us, there's going to be a bunch more in the film that we don't know. So, like, because that's just a smart play. I think Kevin Feige and Sony, they're going to make sure that we have a bunch of stuff to talk about to distract us from the stuff that they really are curious to see what we're going to react to.
I agree, man. To just some geeky guy, for your $5 super chat, and it's Willie, appreciate it. I think they're gonna tease it. I don't think they're gonna bring it in. They're gonna tease the mutants and X-Men and all that. There's been talk about bringing Deadpool into the MCU, and Kevin Feige said if we bring it in, it's gonna be rated R. We're gonna leave it alone. We're gonna let them run with it. So, with that being said, it's gonna be in the same cinematic universe as far as the movie universe that we experience and we enjoy. He's gonna do the right thing. He's gonna allow Mr. Ryan Reynolds to do and have happiness as he please. And I thank you, Kevin Feige, if you could just listen to this stream. But it's gonna be an amazing time. And you would get teased because you already seen in Deadpool the X-Men. But for how they gonna weave it in, I think it's gonna come with WandaVision started it, Deadpool bring it in, and you're gonna have Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and you're gonna have Spider-Man No Way Home, all 4 movies. But Anzo actually said it. Was it you, Terrence? By the end of maybe phase 7, phase 8, we're gonna get the next 5 years. We're gonna see X-Men. Yes, so I do agree with that, Mr. Just Some Geeky Guy.
I think that something's gonna happen. And Deadpool's gonna come in, and he's probably gonna show up when they show a mutant or something. Imagine they show us Victor Von Doom and shit in Latveria. Deadpool's in the background going, "I know that guy" or something. He'd be like, "Oh shit!" Of course, Deadpool's gonna pop up and shit. And then
because did we forget about Deadpool is now a part of Disney? Really? They accepted that.
Yep. And we're gonna get out of here, guys, in a second. I just wanted to say, Tony said Terrence he can't wait for the Power Ranger universe to get popping.
Hey,
fuck that.
You know what? I feel like Power Rangers is one of those things where it's been around so long, and the OG series still has a huge fan base. It's like that takes a certain formula to bring it to where today. When you talk about a movie where the masses, by and large, that don't care, if you can get them on board and you crack that, that would just be phenomenal.
Yep, I agree.
Nah, they could keep that shit.
What, you don't like Power Rangers?
So what if they make this masterpiece Power Rangers movie? That shit is just
I watched the remake one to it, and I mean, I didn't 100% hate it.
The first movie is the best. I'm sorry.
It was ugh, you know what I mean? So maybe if they do something a little bit more, maybe not so much darker, but not as corny, because the villain in that one was so corny.
They kept it true to the TV series with the corniness.
A little bit, you know what I mean? But it was a little bit too corny.
But it still wasn't. It's I think they need to find something where it's like the one from the 90s that I grew up on, but it's still it works for today. I'll give you a perfect example. That shit that they did with Cobra Kai, that is a good example of how you take something, it has a formula, but you make it match today and have it feel fresh. So that way
I
you are
agree.
simultaneously getting the old school fans and you're making new ones at the same time. They have to figure out how to do that with a Power Rangers movie if they're going to do that.
I agree. And Stan said, "Are you guys excited for season? I'm sorry, Invincible season 2 and 3? Absolutely. First season was fire.
I
So
got a couple more episodes left, Anzo.
I haven't seen it. Is
you
it
need
worth
to
watching?
Yes,
absolutely,
yes.
absolutely, 100%.
I
That
trust
shit
you
is fire.
guys. I
What
trust the
episode
chat.
are you on, Terrence?
I left off on 5. Yeah, so I got finished
3
5.
more.
I got to do 6, 7, and 8 because there's 8,
Yeah,
right?
3 more.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Wait till you see that last episode, bro. That shit is badass. I was like, yo,
Don't no spoilers.
I'm not. But from episode 1, I was like, okay, this is interesting. But then the
Right.
credits roll, and then that shit happens after the credits. I was like, yo, what the fuck? And I was hooked
Right.
on this shit ever since I watched it.
This was my reaction in the first episode, right? I was like, oh, okay. Oh, that's oh, I see you got some little DC influence. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. I see you guys, right? Now I'm watching it. Then, like Anzo said, you get to the credits. You're like, okay, yeah, I'll check out the second one. And then they show something. I went from okay, what's going on here? I went from just how I sound now to oh my god, it's just like
It is fire, man. But with that being said, guys, I gotta get ready to get to bed. So we're gonna close it up. I do appreciate it. Let you guys talk about your channels. I'll let Terrence go first. I know Poe don't have one, but you could say something anyways, Poe. Terrence, tell the people about your channel, please.
Oh, yep. Hello, humans. Terrence here. You can find me on Onzo's channel, Biggaford Entertainment. I pop up randomly, and Danny's
I think we
channel,
should do
Comic
this
Chat.
again.
No. Wait, what, John?
I said I think we should do this again.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. And then, oh, yeah. Also on Danny's channel, Comic Chat, and then I kind of pop up randomly, so I guess you never know. But on T Virus Terrence, there's as I tend to say, everything under the sun. You got topics there, got reviews there, you got everything. Any sort of scenes that I want to share. I mean, it's just whatever. Essentially, I can get away with. I like that area to be something where there's a lot of variety there, and you just kind of go and have fun. And not really
Absolutely.
have to worry about me holding back, and you get just strong opinions over there. So if you can handle that and you like variety, maybe that's where you need to be.
Absolutely. And Poe, talk to the
Hey
people.
everybody. I want to thank Onzo for bringing me on, and I want to thank Terrence for having a great conversation here, and I want to thank the chat for being here and giving us great topics and great conversation.
Absolutely.
I don't have a channel personally, but I support great channels like Terrence has, so everybody go and subscribe. Even bigger for entertainment, Mr. Onzo, his channel. Everybody should go and subscribe and share it with your friends. Um, talk about great topics. They're nice people. I'm here. I only mod for them. Sometimes they have me on, but we have great conversations and had a great time tonight. Thank you, Onzo.
Not a problem. I had fun too, man. With that being said, guys, peace.
It's